Hey everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show live entertainment lifestyle talk show series. How are all of you this Friday night? It's great to have you with us, or it could be Saturday morning for some of you watching overseas where the day has already flipped calendar wise. Nice to see you on a Friday. Hope you guys have been having a good day. If you have not, well, this is the place where we provide entertainment and great talk and amazing guests and viewer levity. Lots of viewer levity. As a matter of fact, levity is one of the coined phrases for our show, because in the summertime, I was saying the show is about light, love, and levity, and slipped up, said it a little too fast, and I said levity. And after I said the word levity, everybody's like, my God, I love that word. We need more of that in this world. So all the international viewers, because we have viewers all across the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia, you name it, they're all here, and they chime in with great posts and comments, watch live, or they watch on demand later on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. And they call themselves the Lovities. So the viewers of the Lovities, they call me Mr. Levity, and they call this, our studio here, Levity Hall on the Jim Masters Show Live. What we're basically doing with this series that we started back in April is bringing back the lost art of conversation, like some of the old school talk shows you may remember, of course, with Johnny Carson and Dick Cavett and David Susskind and Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas and so many others, and sprinkling that in, that old school conversational vibe, the warmth of the old school talk shows with a modern vibe and modern twist of today. And all of this is really an extension of the work I do professionally as a television and radio personality, presenter, host, multimedia journalist, voiceover artist, actor, writer, producer. So we started it back in April, 7 days a week, live, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And we've done about 280 shows, I believe, back-to-back live episodes of our series. You can see all of them with amazing guests from television, film, Broadway, Hollywood, music, international artists, folks from science, health, wellness, culinary arts, comedy, sports, inspiration, authors, so many experts, so many wonderful people who have joined us. And we have a good time here. It's conversational, it's warm, it's fun. We always learn something, and we always have a cool time. And we have got a cast of characters too, and I'll tell you about those in just a minute. Some wonderful characters we have on the show that have become part of the show as well. But first, in style, we toast all of our fantastic Levity viewers, you and you and you and you, and wherever you're watching around the world, whether you're watching live right now or you're going to watch this on demand, binge watch our episodes that are housed and archived on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We welcome you in style. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Wherever you are, we always welcome you in style, and we always welcome our viewers in style as well. We've got an amazing guest. She and I have been chatting for a while, putting this together. And the wonderful Kami Cotler, who you know, of course, as Elizabeth Walton from The Waltons, the beloved CBS series that ran for many, many, many years on CBS television. And one of the most heartwarming, beloved family dramas ever to grace the television screens in America and, of course, beyond. And in addition to her wonderful role, of course, as Elizabeth with the Waltons, she's a brilliant educator too. She's got a whole other career and life that came after the Waltons and other television projects. And it's really beautiful work that she's doing. She showed me a couple of snippets of some of that work. We're going to share it with you as well. And you get an opportunity to really appreciate the giving back that Cammy has done over her really beautiful work. So it's a pleasure to have her here on the show. We're going to welcome her live and direct from Los Angeles, California. In just a second, let's check in quickly with some of our Levity viewers from Holland, the Netherlands. Willie is watching. Hello, my dear Levities family. Hello, my dear Jim. We make it again a nice evening, absolutely, and good to have you with us there watching from the Netherlands, Willie, and from Florida, Mary Bishop is here. Good to see you, Mary. Hello, Jim and Levity friends. Nice to see you, Mary, as well, from Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Kathy Short is here. Happy Friday, Jim, our lovely family. Welcome to the weekend. Yes, it's going to be a big lovety weekend. We use the word lovety, and here comes Valentine's Day weekend. Could you imagine that? That came quick, huh? Jean Chesney is here, waiting for this to start. Hi to everyone. Well, we've begun, and it's so good to have you here, Jean. Welcome. And another Jean Reed is here. Hello, everyone. Very excited about this. Terrific. We love passion and enthusiasm and excitement. And as a television person myself, I can realize how, viewer and working in the industry, I can understand your excitement. Cammy is amazing. Barbara Andrew is here. So glad to be here and listen in on this interview with Kami Cotler. Welcome, Barbara Andrew. I'd love to know where you guys are from. Jean, where are you located? Jean Chesney, Jean Reed, Barbara Andrew, what state or what country were you guys located? Jennifer Barry in Allentown, Pennsylvania is here. I'm on the couch under a warm blanket, drinking cold grape juice. That's a real specific play-by-play from Jen is Zen, who always loves to be Zen. Daryl says, I never miss an interview with Cammy. That is brilliant. I'm sure she's very happy to hear that, Daryl, and we're so glad that you're joining us on the Jim Masters Show Live, and hope you'll watch regularly. Everybody watching on YouTube, we would love it if you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. There's over 280 episodes of our entertainment lifestyle talk show series for you to enjoy. Dave Noel says, wash hands, absolutely, and often. Good to have you with us, Dave Noel. And where are you from, Dave? Where are you watching from tonight? Karen Campbell Green, we know, is a regular Lovely viewer. She's watching from Nova Scotia, Canada. Good Friday evening, Lovely family. So excited about Cammy and to our Lovely family today. Daryl says, Yahoo! He's all excited. One of our regular Lovely viewers from South Africa, Juanita is here. Hello, Jim and Lovely family. It is the weekend. Yay. Absolutely. Now, I've already told Cammy about Lovety and how Lovety is prevalent on this show, and she's going to be welcomed as a Lovety. And she said, bring it on. She loves it. And of course, we welcome everybody watching tonight. Merlin is watching from Ontario, Canada. Hi, Jim and all Loveties. We love that. Daryl says, thank you for this. It is our pleasure, Daryl. Jean says, thank you for this interview. Always watch Cammy and Judy's interviews. That is beautiful. We're so glad, and we'll hope you become a regular viewer of our series here. All of you that are joining us. Karen says, hi, Cammy. You are now our newest Lovety. I grew up watching you on the Waltons. Always wished I had your beautiful hair. I'm sure she's heard that a lot over the years. Everybody loves her hair. From Iowa, Gary's watching. Hi, Jim and all Loveties. Good to see you, Gary. And Jean says, hi, Cammy, you're so kind to take the time to do this. And, we don't even call them interviews. We call these conversations, because interviews usually have pre-scripted questions, and, it's question, answer. Sometimes the host doesn't listen and they just move to the next question. We have a conversation and it flows and goes in any direction. Karen says, you're looking very dapper this evening, Jim. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll take a couple more and then welcome Cammy to the show live from LA. Thank you very much, Karen. We appreciate that. Kathleen Walker in New York City. Hi, Jim. Hi, everyone. Hope all is well. Good to see you, my friend. And M. Schmidt is here. Hello, Jim and Cammy. Great to be able to join you tonight. We're so glad you can join us as well. And where are you watching from? Love to know where you are watching from as well. And we got some smiles coming in from Daryl. Really, really nice. Good stuff. You guys are great. Christine Clifton from North Carolina. Greetings, Jim and lovely friends. We welcome Walton's actress, Kami Cotler, to the show tonight. Here's to another wonderful evening in Lovety Hall. Absolutely. You got it. And a lot of great folks. Oh, cool. Barbara's watching from Tennessee, USA. Jean's watching from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And M. Schmidt is watching from Center Valley, Pennsylvania. Jean Chesney, Cary, North Carolina. Thanks for the shout outs. Our pleasure. Hello, Jim and Cammy. Donna Sanders is watching from Columbus, Georgia, USA. We love it. And Rayanne is here. Another from Holland, the one in Michigan. That's right, Holland, Michigan. Saw this on Cammy's Facebook page and had to come check it out. Terrific. That's wonderful. Glad to have everybody here. And you're all welcoming each other. Hello from Wisconsin. I love that. So we are going. Oh, Alberta, Canada as well. Hi, Paula in Alberta, Canada. Beautiful. It's nice to see everybody and all of you here. Hi, Jim, tuning in from freezing cold Alberta, Canada. So excited to see this interview with Cammy. Love it. Margaret is from Ontario, Canada as well. Wonderful. We're going to continue with the comments, but first, let's welcome our wonderful guest to the show. And of course, as I was mentioning, she is just a real delight. Now, we're going to show this cool double shot here. You remember her, of course, on the Waltons. And of course, there she is today. I love this one too. Really cool shot. Now, of course, she's an American actress and an educator, best known for her role as young Elizabeth Walton, which she played in the series The Waltons, and also the television film The Homecoming, A Christmas Story, which inspired it as well, as a number of later Waltons reunion productions that came along as well. She has moved on, from acting in certain areas to go into education after she attended the University of California, Berkeley, earning a degree in social sciences as well. Her first teaching job, coincidentally, took her to a small rural Virginia school in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We'll talk more about that wonderful progress in the world of education. But some of the other things she's been in, you may remember, she was on Family Feud, and Me and the Chimp, that's right, The Heist, and lots of other great productions, and a lot of, again, Waltons related. The Waltons family reunion, Easter, wedding, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day on Walton's Mountain, A Day for Thanks on Walton's Mountain, and so much more. But without further ado, let's welcome, I know somebody you've been looking forward to hearing from here on the Jim Master Show Live, the wonderful Kami Cotler. Cammy, welcome to the show. It's good to have you with us.
It's so good to be here. What a friendly group this is.
I tell you, it's filled with lots of levity, and that's what's great. And they've already welcomed you as a levity, my friend. What do you think? There's Emmys, Peabodys, Oscars, Grammys, Tellys, Grammys, and then there's levities on the Jim Master Show Live. And the guests always say, when they get that, it's like the pinnacle of their career and their feet tingle.
Well, I'm waiting for the feet tingling to start. Yeah, I have an old English teacher, so I like new words. They're always a good idea.
I tell you, and that was a slip of the tongue, levity, and it just took everybody that's either been a guest or the viewers have just adopted that word. And I said, you know what? That's really my style anyway. So why don't we just keep it and keep that going? And Rayanne says, hi, Cammy. And Daryl is saying hi to you as well. And Margaret is saying hi. Loved watching you, of course, on the Waltons. M. Schmidt says, woohoo and welcome. Gary Troyer in Iowa says, hi, lovely Cammy. And Karen in Nova Scotia, such a beautiful child she was, now a beautiful lady. Very nice, Karen in Nova Scotia. Mary Bishop says, welcome, Cammy. Daryl says, a truly amazing woman. Willie, who's watching in the Netherlands, where it's late at night. Welcome, Cammy, into Lovely Hall with Jim Masters. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Christine Clifton in North Carolina is welcoming everybody. Oh, I love that. That's nice. And Juanita is welcoming you from South Africa. Dave is watching from Yuma, Arizona, and welcoming you as well. Good to see you, Dave. I love that. And Mary says hello to you and to me from Tennessee. Kathleen Walker in New York City says, hi, Cammy. Welcome to our lovely family. Daryl watching in Rochester, New York. We welcome you as well. Karen Campbell Green is saying hello. She's in Nova Scotia. It's nice to get all of the wonderful, comments and feedback. And we do that often on our show. I think it's really cool to, I like an interactive show where people get a chance to feel like they're really a part of it. Like Alice watching from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Rayanne says, I love Cammy. And I'm with Daryl. Make sure you check out the Facebook page, Judy Norton's YouTube as well. Absolutely. Jean watching from Cary, North Carolina. Thanks for the shout outs. You are welcome. And a couple more here. Bernadette says, hi, Jim and fellow lovelies. Welcome, Cammy. Love your work. Paula says, hi, Cami, great to see you. My parents raised us on Walton's reruns, still watch it now. Jennifer Barry, hey, Cami, Jen is Zen. And your hall looks beautiful. Oh, Lovety Hall, you like it here. And her hair, yes. They love your hair. I know they've been talking about that. I tell you. Hi, Cammy. So great to see you, and raised them on Walton's reruns as well. Donna Sanders. Hello, Cammy. Loved watching the Waltons as well. Really, really beautiful. So how have you, and Christine says, Cammy, welcome to the show tonight. You're now a Lovety. We're so excited to hear more of your work this evening as well. How have you been, during all the craziness of everything that's going on in the last many, many months? Have you been pivoting and staying connected and creative and sort of sane through all of this?
I think I'm really fortunate. I'm working in education, and even though a lot happened really quickly because we had to pivot from in-person to distance learning in about a week, I'm fortunate to work with a fabulous team of educators and teachers and really creative and nimble folks. So I think we did the pivot about as well as anybody could do. And then the work continues, right? So we're still doing our education, even though we're not on campus. And then planning and figuring out how to do it as well as we possibly can, and making sure that we're supporting our families, because we know that they're going through much rougher times than I'm going through.
Right.
And then trying to imagine, how are we going to find our path back to normal, back to campus, and back to being I don't think it can be exactly how it used to be, because we've learned a lot from this experience, and we have new skills and new ways of teaching, and our kids are gonna be older and different when we get them back on campus. But figuring out what are all the steps between where we are right now to where we're eventually going to be. So I'm busy, and I have a husband and a daughter and a son. So I've got everything I need. I'm super fortunate.
Very blessed, and realizing that, and I think that's beautiful, a beautiful way to be, and to live and appreciate all the joys and blessings that you have, and sharing it with the world as well. Early on, we'll talk about the education side of your fabulous life, because I think it's really beautiful work again, Cammy, that you do. And while you have that cup, let's do a toast too. We always like to toast our fabulous guests. Cheers.
Cheers.
Nice to have you with us, my friend. So, this looks really fancy and expensive, doesn't it? It's Trader Joe's pink lemonade. It always looks like, oh, what's he got? It's usually like lemonade or something. It's pretty good too. The Trader Joe's is pretty good.
Yeah.
The pink lemonade is really nice. It's not too sweet. I have a friend that works at one of them too, so I always learn when they get the newest products in too. The scoop from Trader Joe's. How did you first get started in the field of acting and entertainment? Obviously, you grew up in Long Beach, California, so you've always, you were within range of LA and the production companies, the networks, Hollywood. First, for you, what were some of the sources of inspiration that brought you into the world of acting at such a early youthful age?
For me, it was really an accident. We were living in Orange County, so we were about an hour and a half away from Hollywood. And both my parents were working. My dad was running the family clothing store for men, Cotler's for Men in Anaheim. And my mom was working as a systems engineer and a marketing rep at IBM. So she was one of the first women to hold those kinds of positions at IBM. So she had her career, she loved her job, and I was going to preschool, and we had our calm life, or busy life. It was busy enough she didn't need anything extra. And then she took me and my brother to get our photographs taken up in Hollywood, like you do for grandma and grandpa on the holidays. And I was very small for my age, and I never stopped talking. And I had a lot of red hair, and the photographer said, she could probably do commercial work. Here's the name of an agent, send the photographs in. And my mom thought, yeah, whatever. And then the way she tells the story, I just harassed her from
Yeah.
that moment forward. Mommy, I want to be on television. Mommy, I want to be on television. Mommy, I want to be on television. And so she kind of cracked and mailed the photographs in, and the agent reached out and said, bring her in, we'd like to talk to her. And they were interested in me and said, as soon as she turns 6, we'll start sending her out. And my mom was like, okay. And then I turned 6 and they called and said, okay, Barbara, we need Cammy to be in Hollywood at 2:00 this afternoon. And my mom said, no, I'm at work. She's at preschool in Orange County. No, that's crazy. I can't do that. They were shocked, right? They were used to people leaping at the opportunity.
Jumping, yeah.
She's like, I could do tomorrow at 2, you know. So thus began my odd career of auditioning. And the first thing I got within the first month, because I don't think my mom would have persisted past the first month, because it was difficult for her logistically to pull it off. But fortunately for me, I was offered the role of Elizabeth actress Patty Cake in The Homecoming, A Christmas Story, which was based on Earl Hamner's little novella, The Homecoming, and starred Patricia Neal and Andrew Duggan and Edgar Bergen, and was CBS's Christmas movie for the holidays. And I'd never acted. And my mom sort of thought this, again, would be a one-off thing. She wasn't sure I could do it because I had a really short attention span and I was very distractible and kind of hyper. But it fit me. I loved being in a group of people. I liked the idea that all these grown-ups were part of this game of pretend, which fit me just fine. And was very fortunate with the director. Fielder Cook was super sweet and patient and had a great way working with kids. And then it was kind of off, really. It just started happening from there.
So what was that like with The Homecoming? I mean, some of those names that you had mentioned are, they're legends in the industry. And here you are surrounded by these incredible class acts. What was that like for you? Were you gung-ho and all in? Were you nervous? Were you just so excited you couldn't even have time to be nervous? How would you describe the Cammy then?
I think clueless would be a good description. I was having a good time. I don't think I really understood any of it. I was aware that Patricia Neal was special because of how people treated her. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that she was still recovering from the massive stroke she had had. So she was still a little fragile, a little unsteady on her feet. And my parents too had said, she's, be careful with her, be gentle. So I was conscious of that. The story my mom tells is that I carried my script through the rehearsal period. And when the director said, you'll have to learn your lines, I said, no, I can just carry the script. So I didn't understand really what it was expected of me. I was fortunate that it wasn't hard for me to learn lines. My mom would read them with me at night and kind of practice back and forth for a few goes. And then I basically learned everybody's lines. So I would correct the actors, the grown-up actors, if it took them too long to say their line or if they didn't say it properly, I would tell them what it was.
You were an educator even then.
In fact, if you watch The Homecoming really carefully, there are some times where you can just see my lips moving.
Yeah.
Because I'm mouthing the other actor's words. So I was super green, which I think the director loved. He loved the fact that I, shoveled soup in my face and dripped it. I just wasn't that self-aware. I just was doing what I would normally do, and it just happened to be being filmed. But I was just game. It was fun for me.
That's fantastic. Would you say the performance bug, the acting bug, beat you early? You really loved it early?
I think I loved all the activity. I loved all the people to work with. I loved the fact that we were all rushing to get this thing done together. I loved getting to meet people from all over. I think the only regret I have is I didn't really understand who people were. So I couldn't really appreciate who Patricia Neal was or who Edgar Bergen was. When we were on location for The Homecoming in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, one night Edgar Bergen came down to the lobby and they gathered all the kids together and all the adults together, and he pulled Charlie McCarthy out.
Charlie McCarthy, yeah. Oh boy.
And did a show for us. And I didn't my parents were, jaw dropped, just amazed at the
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah.
And for me, it was like, oh, okay.
What's this?
I just took it at face value, really.
Yeah.
I could never understand the history behind things. But I certainly, enjoyed and benefited from meeting all kinds of interesting people, and it was otherwise I was never bored.
Probably the fact that you were just enjoying it and it was joyful for you, and that, like you say, sort of clueless, but just wrapped up in what you had to do and just enjoying the atmosphere. That I think what's cool about that is you didn't then allow fear to come in and overthinking to come in. And especially as a kid, that could really stop you in your tracks if you become frightened and fearful of the lights, the cameras, the people, the action. You were just in there as, a young girl, Cammy, and I just happened to be today, yesterday I was in my backyard and today I'm on set. That
Yeah.
sort of, which I think that authenticity too, and the realness of you, as Cammy, the child actor, was one of the things that people sort of gravitated to, is your realness and your authenticity. You were acting, but it didn't seem like you were acting because you were you.
I think again, I was not shy, right? And I had this sense even early on that I was the only little girl there, right? So there might be people with all kinds of expertise, but I knew what little girls were like. And I remember things like telling the wardrobe mistress that I shouldn't wear my slippers because no little girl would put on her slippers unless somebody told her to, or that there should be toys under my bed, or I really felt like we were all, and I think, I was picking up on the authenticity that the adult actors were striving for, and the fidelity that they valued about the characterization and the time period. And the crew members too. There were so many people who were really doing quality work that I think I just kind of joined in. And assumed that, okay, she's an expert on 1930s costumes, and he's an expert on how the lights go, and I'm an expert on being 7. Got it. And that's really how I moved through it. It changes a bit when you hit puberty, because it's harder to not be self-conscious. Once your arms get long and just cognitively you have that new capacity to think about how people are thinking about you. And then you get more self-conscious. And I find I enjoy watching this stuff when I'm 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But as I push closer and into puberty, I can feel my self-consciousness. Even if the viewer can't, I can see it.
You're exactly right. The puberty sort of then, right, you become very aware of every little thing, and then there's peer pressure, and it's just a different time and different age from when you're just the buoyant, youthful kid that's just going through life being you. What was really cool, the way you described that, is it's like you knew what was expected and you knew your place. As you were as enthusiastic and buoyant as you were, you also knew that there was a role to play and not to go beyond that or overstep. Like you can have a kid sometimes that can easily stroll in and all of a sudden I'm the star and they want to take over, and that can get in the way of the production and all that. You've heard about that so much. You seem to be very cognizant early of your place and your purpose, which I think is amazing.
I think it might have also helped that we were a big cast, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was the kid on the show. I was one of 7 kids on the show.
That's right. That's right.
And that both gave us relationships with each other, like we weren't just together during filming, right? And CBS was sending us on parades and to do telethons. And
right.
The first, probably 5 years, we all went to lunch together. We needed a table for 14 every time we went out for lunch, because we traveled in a pack, which meant that I think it would keep anybody from getting too big for their boots, right? Because you got all your peers none of that. And then it also meant that we watched each other's backs. And as the baby, I was super protected, right? Because I had all these older brothers and sisters, like cast member brothers and sisters, who were keeping an eye out for me all the time.
And did it feel like that? Did it feel like you had this whole support system? There they are. This whole support system. Of course, you had grandma and grandpa, and you had everybody, the whole family. And also this wonderful structure with family values and love and warmth. And sure, there were troubles and things that happen that families deal with, but the coming together of the family and the love and support of the family, I think really was so evident in that series. And you felt that, didn't you, from the fellow actors and actresses who were with you, even the other kids that were with you and everybody, Michael Leonard and John Waite, everybody, Richard Thomas.
Yeah, it's just a really good group of people. And as we chatted earlier, Michael and Ralph and Richard, Will, like they have a rich theater background, right?
Yes.
So they brought to our set this sort of notion of the ensemble and being responsible to each other, and a really high expectation for professionalism. Our kitchen scenes, I was seated right next to Ellen, and Ellen she'd come to Hollywood as a continuity, a script girl, they called them, yeah?
Yeah.
So she was able to track what everybody was doing at the dinner scene. And because I was seated next to her, she made sure that I was doing everything I was supposed to do as a professional. So she would kind of keep an eye on and if I tried to do things that were, a little naughty, like let's say it was a scene where I didn't really have any lines, and I might bring my book, stick it under the table so I could read it during a rehearsal. And she'd be like, "Oh no, that's disrespectful. You have to be here and support your fellow actors." And that was the kind of set it was, where we really were there supporting each other as much as we could. It's long days and tiring work sometimes, but super fortunate to be with the people I was with.
Absolutely. Linda Odell in Florida says, what was it like acting alongside Ralph Waite and Michael Leonard and Richard and the rest of the Walton family?
It made it easy to act, right?
Yeah.
If you think about watching their performances and how moved you are, it's relatively easy, even with lights and cameras and doing the scene over and over again. If you're looking at Michael or looking at Ralph or looking at Richard, like they're there and they're giving such a beautiful performance that it's just easy to kind of respond to it and fall into it.
One of the viewers, or lovely viewers, it's a kind of a cool question. Gary Troyer in Iowa says, Cammy, how was it to do the meal scenes on set in the Waltons? And did you actually eat the food? Yeah. Did you have the turkey on Thanksgiving with the stuffing and all on set?
Yeah, we tended to do all of the meal scenes on the same day. So if there were, say, 3 or 4 eating scenes in an episode, they would all get filmed at the same time because we filmed every episode out of order. So that would pretty much mean you'd be spending the whole day in that set. And it got kind of close. This is the days where people would still smoke cigarettes on set. So there wasn't always a whole lot of oxygen left by the time you got to noon.
Right.
Off of the set, there was a separate little kind of a structure of the kitchen within the soundstage where the prop man and his assistant would make the food. So right before the master was filmed, they would carry out, the hot meatloaf or the roast turkey or the pancakes or whatever it might be, and then you would shoot the master. And a lot of times the way the timing worked, by the time you filmed that first shot, you were hungry, right? You'd had breakfast, and then you'd done makeup and hair and wardrobe, and you'd blocked and rehearsed and gone to school. And so by the time that first shot was filmed and that hot food hit the table, you were hungry.
Yeah.
So you might eat, but eating was a strategic error, because whatever you ate in that first scene, that first take that was printed, you had to keep eating just the same way for all of the additional shots that would be taken. And if you watch, Michael was really good at never eating. She would move the food around on her plate, and she'd bring a fork up to her mouth and then go get very interested in the conversation. And Ralph, who really thought like he's a working man, John Walton, he's been out in the sawmill. So Ralph would just shovel the food in. And as the filming progressed, the food just got colder and more congealed and less appetizing, until you really didn't want to eat it anymore. And we got pretty silly and giddy as those afternoons wore on. I remember one breakfast scene where somebody put M&Ms in all the oatmeal to just kind of make it more entertaining. There was a lot of laughter. Like Michael would start to laugh a little bit, and then Mary's lower lip would quiver. And if her lower lip quivered, I would laugh out loud. Like there was nothing I could do. So there'd be pointing across the table, like, you made me laugh. No, you laughed. I didn't laugh. You were laughing. So poor directors, those days could be long.
No food fights with the Waltons, huh?
Oh yeah, who told you no food fights?
That's a scoop, folks. You would never envision the Waltons having food fights, but yes.
There was one particularly because you get tired, right? And you've been doing the same thing for a long time, and there's not a lot of air, and you're supposed to have all this energy. So to get your energy up, you're goofy.
Yeah.
The camera's not filming, so you're throwing napkins, or you're telling dirty jokes. I usually didn't understand them, but people told them. Or you're throwing M&Ms, or whatever you're doing just to keep your energy up. And we had one day that we were particularly like poorly behaved and goofy and naughty. And then from the shadows behind the camera, they said, there's one more thing we got to do before we release you. And they brought this little man out. He looked sort of frightened of us. And he was coming to give us a decency award. And we'd been not at all decent for at least 2 hours.
What a day to give the award, huh?
He looked absolutely frightened of us by that point in time. We were like, oh, sorry.
That's funny. That is amazing. We showed this picture earlier. You had a chance, of course, being on a show like that, with working with a lot of different animals as well. And that's a really cute, beautiful shot there. What was it like, being a kid and having these animals around you? And of course they're trained, and there's probably a trainer off to the side, making sure they don't, run wild or whatever. But what was it like for you as a kid being exposed to all the different animals as well?
Well, that photograph was the first time I'd ever been that close to a cow. And so there's a whole series from that PR session, that publicity still session, because I was in love with the cow.
Yeah.
And the story my mom tells is that my grandmother had taken me that day, and I fell asleep in the car on the way home. And so I was asleep in my Nana's arms, and she carried me into the house.
I mean, how old are you in this shot?
6 years old.
Wow, 6 years old. Wow.
My mom says I woke up just as she brought me in. I woke up just long enough to go, Mommy, they had a cow. And back to sleep. And Elizabeth had all the pets. I had a raccoon and a pig and a goat and a horse. I swam with beavers with Will Gear. There was a scene where beavers swim into the lake while we're in the lake.
Yeah.
The goat used to attack me like during scenes. It's hard to get your dialogue right when a goat is butting you with big horns and all. So there were some struggles with the animals.
Absolutely. One of my dear friends is watching, and she knows you or your dad, Christina Contreras. Long time no see, Cammy. Maybe you remember my father, Armando Contreras, Key Grip. We lived in College Park East.
I loved Armando. He was like our key grip for the longest time. And that's, I have to say, like, the crew was so patient with me because I asked endless questions. And people like Armando would okay, if you're very still, you can sit on the dolly while I push it around during the scene, but you can't move at all. And I just remember sitting there perfectly still as he was rolling and hitting marks. And then he would sometimes give me tape to play with because he had all the best colors of tape.
Yeah.
And it was this, and someone like Armando would show me this lever makes the camera go like this, and this thing unlocks the wheels. And for me, I was fascinated by all of it. I wanted to know, the mixer would take me in his lap and show me how to use all the different fabulous levers and pots on his soundboard. or watching the guy with the boom. And this is the part that I find most interesting. So often when I'm talking on my Facebook page with fans, they will ask questions about the storylines and the scripts, and I don't remember all that many of them, right? It was so many years ago, but I remember like the names of the lights and like the challenge of pulling focus, and when you're dollying in a scene, or how to clear for a key light, or like the technical side was just fascinating to me as a kid, and in part because the crew was so sweet. My mom talked about like going up to her, is she bothering you? Should we stop her? And they were like, no, she's fine. She's totally fine.
Well, you made an impression because his daughter Carla says you were very special to him.
Oh, he was special to me. You know, if I hadn't been on the Waltons, like if none of that had happened to me, I would have grown up a nice little girl in suburban Orange County. And I would have stayed in Orange County and still be in Orange County. And because of the show, I met people from all over, from all different kinds of lives and backgrounds and socioeconomic levels and parts of the country and religions. And I mean, it was just phenomenal in terms of the rich upbringing I got to have.
Is there an episode that is your personal favorite? I know of all the episodes because that show ran so long, which was fantastic, and people hated to see it go when it did wrap. But do you have an episode or two that just speak to your heart, Cammy?
I think the earlier shows, like I'll still watch The Homecoming, and it's a lovely thing to watch, during the Christmas season. And I like to watch the early shows. The shows that I remember the most are shows where something unusual happened, right? So like The Burnout, which was the episode where the house burned down.
Yes, I remember that. That was national, if not international news when that happened. That was like, what? That cannot happen. Yeah. Do you remember how that felt for people and the feedback when that happened? I remember that was like a top story.
Well, and it's funny because, in the 70s, you didn't get the same kind of feedback that you can get now.
Now
right?
It's instant, right?
Right. So now on Facebook, people will talk about like my home burned down when I was a child, or they'll talk about the harrowing real life experiences they had and how that show resonated with them. So I would say it was more when the show was over that we began to have any sense of the impact it had on people's lives. Like it was hard during the making of it to see that. During the making of it, the impact was, for us, was more on the excitement or the challenge of the making of the program, right? So I had burnout because we had to film with fire, and that's hard, and you have to really pay attention, and there were so many technical aspects to it. And then also for the burnout, at the end when the exterior shot, when the house is in flames, and Erin hasn't made it out yet. And I was at an age where I followed Mary McDonough everywhere she went because she was a cool teenager, and I was the baby. I was the annoying baby, right? and there was a moment in the filming of that where Ralph has to rush back into the house, and we're all standing outside crying, and there's smoke and flames, and then John comes out carrying Erin in his arms in this kind of huge cloud of smoke. And just for a second, it was real for me. It was probably the only time that it ever felt real. And I began to just bawl, like honestly.
Was it scary being a kid and having the scene where this beloved home is in flames?
No, because we knew it wasn't really going to burn down, right? Because we were privy to all the steps that were taken to make it okay.
Right.
Like the fire department was there, and as soon as they cut, they would put the flames out, and they built like double layers around things so things could burn, and there would be things. So we were we saw behind the magic. It was scary because I loved Mary, and there she was in a dangerous moment.
Yeah.
And it just struck me. And we cared for each other so much. So to stand in that group and listen to Michael crying and Ella crying, and even though there's acting, it's still, those are real feelings that people are pulling up to do the acting. So that was what was impactful, with the people I cared about being upset and in peril.
I know kids, they were certainly talking about it the next day, like in school and everything. And they were upset. They were crying. They were like, oh no, it was like, it became like very real for people. Cause just like, with any show or a movie, but especially with TV shows, that are on regularly that become a part of your life. And of course, that's why you've seen the rabid fans with soap operas too, the daytime soap operas that are on 5 days a week, the ones that are left, but 5 days a week, and they get so attached to the characters and believe in the story. And um, how were you, as time went on, able to separate Cammy from Elizabeth, and how much of Cammy is in Elizabeth, and
That's
vice
an,
versa?
yeah, that's an interesting question. I, what I remember from being little was it being really important to me that there was a distinction between Cammy and Elizabeth. Like it when I would go back to this, because our shooting schedule is we usually filmed from like June to February, March. So I would go back to regular school for April, May, 2 or 3 months. And a lot of times when I first arrived at a school, people would call me Elizabeth. And that would rub me the wrong way because I'm not Elizabeth, I'm Cammy, right? And so there's definitely a need to differentiate, especially because you're a child, right? You're still really establishing who Cammy is. And so confusion around that doesn't feel good. But you learn, right? You learn how to differentiate between people who want to hang out with you because you're the little girl of the Waltons versus people who are learning who you are as a person and want to hang out with you because they actually like you. So you learn those skills. And I think, I think everybody does to a point, right? How do you differentiate authentic friends from not as true friends? It's the same kind of thing. And then the fact is there's, like, I look at the community that you've created here, and the same thing I think happens with Waltons fans. Waltons fans are just nice people. Like my experience as a kid was like a little old lady jumping out and hugging me because she felt like she knew me. So the feelings that people had when they recognized us were very, very warm.
How about your children now today, your kids seeing some of these past episodes and realizing that was you in there, and what's their reaction to watching the things you've been in over the years?
I would have to say that for my two kids and for Eric's kids and Mary's kids and John, like none of them are very impressed at all.
You're a mom.
Yeah. Yeah, and the same people will ask me about my students, like, oh, what did your students do? And there's certain roles that are much more powerful than television characters, and mom is definitely one of them. And then another one is teacher. So
Yes.
so students might initially be like, wait a minute, why are you here? You were on television. What's wrong with you? Why would you be here?
Right.
And what I typically would do would be say, okay, tomorrow ask as many questions as you want about my career on television.
Mm-hmm.
They really typically would run out of questions in about 5 minutes.
5 minutes, right?
And then you assign homework and you grade an essay, and they're like, "Oh man, Miss Cotler, just oh." I used like if used to say Madonna, and then I said Britney Spears. Like I'm trying to think who today. Like pick a famous, like if see, I'm old. I can't think of anybody who's current.
Right now, you mean that would be like a Beyonce or somebody, or
like if Beyonce or Selena Gomez was suddenly a high school teacher, it would take about 15 minutes before they'd be complaining about Miss Gomez and how she gives too much homework and no fun at all. Like it's the archetype of teacher is too powerful for Elizabeth Walton to be relevant for very long.
right? I like that. Somebody else had a question here as well, and let's see if we can bring that up. Was it hard? Rita is asking, was it hard to go back to real life after the Waltons wrapped up?
Let me see. I was pretty lucky because of the timing. The show ended, I was about 16. When the series was canceled, we did 3 movies of the week. So we had kind of like a mini season. And then I went back to my junior year of high school. And I was going to a small high school. I'd been with the same kids since 5th grade. And being there for more than a couple months was a challenge because I just got bored. And I was fortunate enough to one of our high school counselors told me about a program for high school seniors at the University of Southern California, where you can apply and you can go live on campus during your senior year. So you take freshman classes while you finish your high school diploma. And that's what I ended up doing, which I think helped me with that transition because I basically went from the Waltons to being a freshman in college. So it felt like a normal transition to me in the same way that you go from living in your parents' house and going to your high school to going off to college. And I kind of went from living in my parents' house and working on television to going off to college. So I think that helped a lot with the transition.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You were already prepared, I think, which was really, really good. We found this. This is cool. This is going back in time a little bit. Who's that cutie there, huh?
That's my first composite. That story I told about going to Hollywood and having like Christmas pictures. That was the photographer who took those shots.
Wow. Definitely something in your expression that just does look so real and warm and wholesome. And I could see what, they definitely were looking for and got in that shot. We have another one here too. I love this shot. Tell us about this one.
No, those are my sisters. I don't have any real life sisters. I have Mary and Judy, and this is us, I think, at a California Women's Conference. So we got to be our own little panel talking about transitions and working on television and things we did after the Waltons ended. Because, Mary went from the Waltons to acting, but also doing a lot of advocacy work around women's health issues. And she did things like she testified at Congress. And then Judy went on to do lots and lots of theater and producing and directing, both for film and stage. So just really smart and creative people that I get to hang out with.
You get to hang out with them as well. A couple people are asking the grades that you teach.
I was a high school teacher, so I had my single subject in English. And then I ended up working in an alternative program. So I taught 9, 10, 11, 12, and I ended up teaching a lot of history and English and also helping design interdisciplinary projects for students who were at risk of dropping out. And then they made me teach drama in my first job because they thought I was qualified to teach drama, it's very different teaching high school theater than acting on a television series. I spent that whole first semester going, wait a minute, I do the lights?
Right.
Wait, I'm supposed to build the sets? Hold on.
Yeah.
And what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah. There's no key grip there.
No. I don't know how to do any of this. And because I was acting, I didn't do a lot of school theater, right? I was at work. So even like simple things I had no clue about. But fortunately, Mary had been teaching drama. So I just called her and said, help, they're making me teach drama. And she sent me some books and gave me some advice, which was great.
You mentioned you were really paying attention to some of the production people and how things were done on set. Had you had an inkling to go into producing yourself, producing, directing, and the production side of things?
People would say that when I was still a kid acting, like, oh, Cammy's going to be a director. Oh, wait till when's Cammy going to direct one? That kind of thing. And I would usually just point at whoever the director was that week and say, does he look like he's having fun? He looks really stressed out.
He looks like he's working hard.
The weight of the world is on his shoulders. Like he's losing hair as we speak. So I don't know if I want to do that. And then I think too, being on a TV show that runs for 9 years is not a normal acting experience, right? A normal acting experience is auditioning a lot and worrying about what you should wear to the audition and worrying about your hair and your clothing and when the next audition is coming and working very, very infrequently. Like that's most actors' lives. And I knew, I learned during the Screen Actors Guild strike that I needed to work, that sitting home waiting was not okay with me. I get bored. I need more stimulation. So I think part of the reason I was attracted to education was that I didn't think it would be boring. I thought that there would always be something to learn and there'd be a lot going on. And then when we did the reunion shows when I was an adult, it's not as much fun as a grown-up, because as a grown-up, you can't go play, right? If you're 7 and you're waiting to go on, you go play in the Godsey store and pretend that you're running it, or you grab David, who played Jim Bob, and you get on an old car and you rob a bank. You're able to really keep yourself entertained in a way that's much harder, I think. Well, right? There's a lot of waiting around.
A lot, sure, absolutely. And one of the things we've mentioned on the show too is that, one of the keys to all of this working in these industries is to make everything look so easy and effortless and flawless, and just everything was meant to be. But behind the scenes, the blood, sweat, and tears and toil and sacrifice and hours and days put in, and all of yourself that you're investing in it, mind, body, and spirit, is tremendous. And we don't always show all of that to everybody because we want them to just sit back and have all their cares and troubles swept away as they're watching and consuming the product. So we don't want them to know all the craziness that goes on all the time. Yet there is a lot of pieces to the puzzle for it to pull off, right?
Yeah, and I would add too that I had a very unusual experience, right? Like I was with the same people all the time, and I was with a group of very nice people and a crew, and we all got along pretty well. And that's not typical. And I think that as a child too, you're not part of, and this is the social sciences major coming out, so my apologies. But
No, it's good.
As a child, you're not part of the power structure, right? You're moving through it kind of fluidly. Like if I had a question to ask the producers, I could just walk over to the office and say, I want to talk to the producer. And they'd say, okay, because I was 7, right? I was cute. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I was more conscious of things like, where the dressing rooms are, how big the dressing rooms are, or who gets a parking place and who doesn't get a parking place, or who's asked their opinion, who isn't asked their opinion, and all the different kind of competitive things that can happen.
Yeah.
When I auditioned as a 16-year-old, I was astonished. Like you can walk into an audition room and every girl looks at you with a degree of hostility. And I'm like, what is this about? Like, this is not my experience of acting, right? My experience of acting is it's collegial and we care for each other and we try to make each other better. And suddenly I'm getting this weird energy. So
you're like in the series with the Bad Girls or whatever. All of a sudden you're thrust in that.
There are all kinds of different cultures of different production companies and different casting agencies. And I wasn't, it didn't make sense to me for it to be competitive or hostile.
Right.
It didn't seem important enough to me.
That's a cool thing. Yeah. I mean, it's a different way. It's actually the better way to look at everything. And I think that's probably why, that translates to your work, as an educator, because you can see some of that peer pressure and some of those dynamics early on, with the kids coming up, right? You can identify it early. Because it seems like as a kid, you were already identifying it and realizing the role playing and like you have an old soul inside.
Well, and I think, when we did one of the reunion shows, there was a scene with Elizabeth in the treehouse, right? Where else would she be? And when we were making the series, like we were close with the crew. Like we talked to them all the time. We hung out. We played softball together on the weekends. Like it was a tight group. But during the reunion shows, these were all new people who I didn't know and they didn't know me. And it was my first time acting as a 30-year-old, right? And one of the scenes, the scene in the treehouse, I could tell that there was some kind of technical issue because I could hear a lot of conversation back and forth between grips and electricians, and a lot of going back and forth and getting different kinds of gear. And we were we were sort of scaffolded up high for the scene. And I finally was like, is there a problem? Like, would it help you if I sat up a little bit higher? Like I could just sit on my knee. And they all looked at me like, oh, we disturbed the actor. And they said, well, could you sit up a little bit higher? I'm like, yeah, like not like you shouldn't have to spend 30 minutes rejiggering all the lights. Just ask me and I'll just sit on my leg. That's okay. And that was a real revelation to me, that the crew was frightened of the actor, and the crew didn't feel comfortable saying, hey, would it work for you to do this thing that would save us a lot of time and trouble? Whereas that was not how our set was at all. Like it was completely normal for a crew member to be like, hey, Cammy, when you approach the barn, if you hug to the right, I don't have to run all the way back to the street and get that big silk. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So that kind of collaboration across all the groups was what I was accustomed to. And that's not true in every workplace, you know?
No, it's again, I could see then why, with that understanding of the human condition early on. I think I've always liked that too, as a kid, always aware of the dynamics, the people, you know, who was here for what purpose, and how this one was saying this to this one, and how this one was acting towards that one, and what my place and my role was. I think I was always, I still am very aware of that. I'm a Libra, so we're all balance and harmony anyway. So we're looking for balance, harmony, looking to unify, looking for ways to figure problems out. Not extreme on that end, not extreme on that end, more middle, and bringing the extremes together. And it seems like you are a wonderful like negotiator and bringer together of people, a unifier in so many different ways early on in your life, Cammy.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I was conscious of it as a
Right.
kid.
Right.
I liked to be part of the process, you know, and I didn't like the feeling of being somehow excluded. And I didn't like it if people thought I was stupid.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was when you talk about the difference between Cammy and Elizabeth. Like Cammy had this, you know, was proud of being able to understand things,
Right.
and wanting to know more. And that's you know, that's how I was raised, right? With education being the most important thing. Like, are you learning? Was a real family value in my family. So I think the transition from like the clarity I had that I didn't want to be working in television, I wanted to be working in a field where it felt like whatever we were doing was more important. That sounds awful because I love being entertained and I love watching artists do their work. But I mean, it's hard to find the opportunity to do your work the way you want to do it, right?
You know, sometimes, especially with child stars, there is this transition. It also seems like your family dynamic at home was solid, and you have supportive family that had a structure, at least. So you had these opportunities, you had the availability, and then there, you know, the comfort and warmth to be able to make the transition, so it isn't such a big blow when something you've done for so long as a kid wraps up and comes to an end. A lot of child stars, or a lot of kids that are in, you know, public forums, have a tough time as time goes on, and they can't adapt to the next phase of their life. And it seems like early on, you are almost even setting that up while you were, you know, doing the work that you were doing, which is an amazing thing.
I think I was very fortunate in that there was always a sense in my family that my acting was this hobby that I was engaged in that was a little bit inconvenient to everybody else. So as opposed to, I think for a lot of children, like the parents really want them to act, and the parents are super invested in their acting, either because of their own desire to be a performer or because they need the income, right? And I always knew that I was acting because I wanted to, and that it was kind of a pain for my mom to figure out who's going to get me to the set and who's going to get me back. And if I came home and complained about you know, being on set, she said, "Don't go in tomorrow." She said, "Stop. Let's not do it." If you don't like it, let's stop.
Mm.
So it was really clear that this, if I don't like it, it will end.
Right.
And we're doing it because I like it. That's why we're doing it, because I want to do it. It's not because anybody else wants me to do it. It's because I like going onto the set, and I like all my friends on the crew, and I like the stars every week for me to talk to. Like, I like that.
So no stage mother type scenarios, which is, we're very blessed in that way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What about also, you know, sometimes it's hard for kids especially to quote unquote live up to what is being portrayed in a movie or on television. The idealism of whatever, you know, the storyline is. Was there ever, did you find it at all tough to match Elizabeth and Elizabeth's storyline of how everything, you know, was so loving and so warm and so, you know, it sounds to me, which is such a beautiful thing, that when you got off the set and the Waltons scenario, when you went home, you know, it wasn't maybe exactly the Waltons because that's scripted, but you had elements that were warm and loving. And so it wasn't like a major transition, which a lot of times kids have to go through. But sometimes they do have trouble matching what is on the screen and how people perceive them. They want you to always be Elizabeth Walton.
I think, I mean, it does still to this day kind of fascinate me, the degree to which people think it's real.
Yeah.
And I think I learn a lot about it on my Facebook page. And I have to always tell people, remember, your experience of the show is different than my experience, right? My experience is 8-hour days, 5 days a week with crew and equipment and sound stages, and your experience is once a week watching an hour-long story. So you have a totally different experience than I do of the Waltons. And even there was a great story when Mary's daughter Sydney was young. She'd taken her to a Walton fan event, right, back in Virginia, and there was a banquet, and there were always lots of people there, and it's always fun. And eventually she figured out that Sydney thought the fans were the Waltons. Because she hadn't really watched the show.
Right.
She knew us as like Aunt Cammy and Uncle Eric and like her sort of extended family. So she really believed that the fans were the Waltons.
Were the Waltons.
Because that was her experience of it, right? Like the Waltons happened at these events, and it was full of these particular people who were part of the fan club, right? So I think it's all about perspective, yeah. And I don't remember ever thinking I had to live up to Elizabeth. I remember feeling like I had to advocate for Elizabeth, right? Like go to the producers and say, okay, she lives on a farm and she's 8. She should know where babies come from. Like, you can't write that joke anymore. Or she can't be picked up. Like, Richard is not that tall. When he picks me up, my feet are dragging on the floor. Like, you have to stop writing, and then she crawls into somebody's lap. Like, I'm 12.
Yeah.
But again, we had the kind of culture on our set where I felt empowered to say those things, and where the producers were like, "Oh, yeah, she's got a point," and could hear those things and respond to them.
That's really amazing. I mean, it really does seem like you were so like ahead of even your age and just thinking about some of those things. Again, another reason why I think people just assumed you would be a director or, producer, because you understood some of the things in advance. You know, Richard's this age, and if he lifts me up, the feet, and it's just absolutely amazing. You really were all in with it. You were also in The Heist in '72. Tell us a little bit about that. People might not remember that you were in that.
Yeah, that was when the homecoming ended. And my mom actually just recently told me about this because I didn't remember. I'd done a series called Me and the Chimp, which was a CBS sitcom with Ted Bessel and Anita Gillette. And it ran for 13 weeks and was canceled. And then in the same time slot as the Waltons, that Thursday at 8, I believe. And so when that ended, I was then contacted and told that they were going to turn The Homecoming, which had been a movie of the week, into a series. So that they were asking me to come and do that. And then my mom says, I got called for The Heist. They wanted me to be in The Heist and play the daughter of Christopher George and Elizabeth Ashley. And my mom said, I don't think she can do it because she's going to start shooting this other series. And they apparently said they would shoot around me, which boggles my mind. And so the storyline was that Christopher George plays an armored car security guard, and his daughter has this little funny doll she calls Mr. Man. And somebody stages this robbery where they approach him with the same kind of doll and say, we have your daughter, and here's Mr. Man, give us all the money. And then he gives them all the money, and then he's seen as a suspect. So that's the plot line. And in it, they wanted my mom to bring me in for a costuming, but she didn't have time. So she told them no. And she said, I can bring her in early on the day she's shooting. So when we went in there, they had all these dresses they bought from all the nicest department stores in Los Angeles, all in like size 6. And one of the pieces of clothing they had was actually a dress I had worn in Me and the Chimp, which I had brought to Me and the Chimp. It was my personal dress that my mom had lent to them, because the dress that they'd had a dress that was similar that was too big for me. And she said, don't go to the trouble of having a seamstress fix it. I'll just bring her dress from home. And then she forgot about it. It got sucked into the wardrobe world. And then it came back up again when I did The Heist. So when they were showing me dresses, I said, that's my dress. And the wardrobe lady said, yes, that's the dress you're going to wear on The Heist. I said, no, that's my dress. And that's how we got my dress back from The Heist. So there's my mom's heist story.
Wow. That is amazing. And there it is from 1972. What was it like being in part of that drama? I mean, it's a crime drama thriller, something a little bit different.
I think for both that and my biggest takeaway was just that I had to look perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Because making The Homecoming hadn't been that way.
Right.
But making The Heist, there was somebody following me at all times, fixing my hair and fixing my dress and making me look perfect. And I was not crazy about that. I wanted to be left alone. So I think that I also have a bubble bath scene, I think, in The Heist. So that was exciting because they had an air hose, and they would like put the air hose into the water and turn it on, and it'd be like, and then there'd be all these massive bubbles, and then we'd start to shoot the scene again. But that's probably my sort of limited memory of The Heist.
You mentioned this one here. You said it lasted only a few, 13 weeks or so, but that was kind of a cool concept too. There it is. Me and the Chimp. What was that like being in that for the time? That
was also, it was a fun set to work on because I play Kitty, I think was the character's name. And then she has an older brother who's played by Scott Colden. And so I had another child to work with, and that's always more fun. The Chimp was a little scary.
Yeah.
They didn't really let you play with the Chimp or pet the Chimp.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chimp's name was Jackie. And then Ted Bessel, who had been doing That Girl, was where from. It was a very highly touted sitcom. It was supposed to be a huge hit. He was supposed to be the star. And I don't think he'd really worked with children before, because what I remember from Me and the Chimp is he would make faces at me during coverage. So when you're filming, say, a close-up, right? So the camera's just on me like this. And then he would be like behind the camera saying his dialogue while I said my dialogue in order for my close-up to be filmed. And then, you look next to the camera at the actor talking and you run the scene. And he would sometimes just make faces and be goofy, which was fine. I thought that was funny. And then at some point in time, the camera reversed. It was his close-up and I was off camera and I made faces at him and he did not think that was funny at all. And he got quite cross with me. And I remember thinking, that's not fair. You made faces at me and I'm not allowed to make faces at you. And perhaps that was like my first exposure to the notion of who's the star and who isn't. but it wasn't something I had to worry about once I was on the Walton set. So that was nice.
Exactly right. And then again, just being a part of that was quite amazing as well. And, you know, working on a show like The Waltons, I imagine even today, like so many people still come up to you, like you say, whether it's social media or maybe meets and greets, different things that happen, and they pour their heart out to you, how that role and that series meant so much to them. When you hear that, I know you always appreciate it and you value it and you find it a blessing. But like you say, you know, the viewer's view of something is different than when you're in on the production of it. Um, do you ever, like for me, when I watch things that I've done, I'm very critical of myself. Usually I'm looking for things so I can fine tune. There are people who will say they don't watch anything they ever do. I'll watch the things I do because I want to fine tune. I want to tweak. I want to, you know, maybe I'll really enjoy it. Well, that was a funny line. Or, gee, I like the way I handled that when that problem happened or whatever. So I'll watch it in a observatory way. And then if I have people around like family or friends, I'll say, okay, this is going to come on tonight at 8 or whatever. Now, when we watch this together, detach that you know me. Or if it's on, I'll say, is he convincing you? Am I convincing you? Like, you don't know me, but you're watching that guy on camera there. Are you being convinced? So I will try to detach myself from myself when watching it. And usually in the beginning, I don't like it right away because I'm looking, again, just exactly like you described it. My view is looking out from my eyes at all of this. Their view is flipped. They're looking this way. And now I'm seeing it on television or wherever it is in the form that they're seeing it in. So I'll try to detach myself from it to get the full experience. Do you do that when you've watched episodes of The Waltons or other things? Try to allow yourself the ability to not critique or not overanalyze, to try to maybe be swept up a little bit as everybody else, as the viewers have been over the years?
That's
Long observation and question, but you know what I mean.
no, it's interesting. I think when I was little, I didn't really.
Right.
Because I can't remember it occurring to me, like, was it convincing? It's what was it, it was what it was. And it seemed fine to me. Like, there wasn't a lot of reflection about the quality of a performance. As I got older and self-conscious, it was hard to watch because I only saw awkwardness. And in fact, I always tell people, when people, you know, now so many of the people I work with are younger and they haven't seen the show. And when one of my colleagues who's my age outs me and says, do you know who she was? I'll always tell a young teacher, like, okay, if you go home and look me up on YouTube, don't watch anything if I've hit puberty. That's just not cool. Just like find something where I'm little, and that's okay to watch. Because I don't come to your house and go through like your yearbook from middle school. Right?
Yeah. Go to here and stop there.
Now, I don't know, like, if I were to sit down and watch an episode that I made when I was 16, like, you know, what am I now, 56? Like, maybe I haven't tried.
Yeah.
Maybe I would find it less just painful. I know it's funny because we do it with teachers, right? Like, you'll videotape a lesson and do that sort of video protocol of going through how does it look? Because you do things when you're a teacher that you're not conscious of until you see the videotape. And as an administrator, like walking through, watching yourself teach, and like what moments did you miss, and what how could you have like maximized that? And like there's a lot that you do in teaching that way. And when I think about being a principal, like you're frequently giving the same presentation that you've given before. And I am always tweaking and thinking about how did they respond to that, and what was confusing about it, and how do I change my slides, and how do I change my language, and like how do we make this experience more comfortable for parents and more efficient for parents. So there is a lot of that kind of critical lens now in my work, but I have not gone to look at myself at 15 to see if I'm convinced.
Right, because you were just doing the work. You were doing your thing, which is a beautiful thing. I want to let folks know about this brilliant career, that you've fostered in education. So while the Waltons were wrapping up, you went off to university, right? Tell us about the transition. You mentioned a little bit about it and studying social science, and take us from there and how you really formed this love of teaching and inspiring and uplifting others and education.
When the show ended, I was 16, 17. And so I was able to do my senior year of high school at USC, and took all kinds of different classes, and then really decided that I wasn't sure what I wanted to study. So I took what I call my extended summer vacation, because I had never had a summer vacation because I'd always been working. So I traveled a little bit. I spent the summer in England. I went to visit all my friends at their colleges and slept on couches and went to classes I wasn't enrolled in, and just kind of played with what do I want to do. And then ended up at the University of California, Berkeley, where I was a social sciences major, which is a great major at UC Berkeley if anybody's going to go there, where you kind of get to design your own major, picking a focus. And my focus was American Studies. And I really looked at I ended up writing about 17th century New England, so it was super esoteric. But what I was looking at is like what is American values, and what are American traditions, and how are they different in different places? And when I finished college, I thought, I'm an American Studies person, but I've only ever lived in LA, New York, London, and San Francisco. So I'm missing something here. And so I'm going to get my teaching credential, and then I'm going to move someplace different. So, because if I had that credential, I can live in different parts of the country and just continue to explore and learn more. So I ended up moving to Charlottesville, Virginia, because my, what was he then? I think he was my boyfriend then, but my husband now, is from England. And he melts at any temperature above like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So we wanted to move someplace where we could be in the mountains, so it wouldn't be too hot in the summer. We could be driving distance from a big city in case we wanted to go get, Thai food or something, or, fly to England and see his family. And we ended up in Charlottesville, Virginia. And then I applied for teaching jobs up and down the Blue Ridge Mountain, and ended up getting a job, astonishingly enough, in the same county where the creator of the Waltons grew up. So I went to Nelson County, Virginia, and taught at their high school. Had a great experience teaching in a small program for kids at risk of dropping out, and working with more experienced teachers and learning the best way to learn teaching, which is watching people who know how to do it, and then trying it yourself. And then after, I guess, 5 years, we'd had both of our kids in Central Virginia, and then really moved back to the West Coast because I missed my parents and I wanted my children to know my parents. So we moved back to the West Coast, and I got involved helping to start a charter school. So helping to launch a public charter school, and then going back to environmental charter, which is where I'd been teaching for a few years, and helping them open their middle school when they expanded from high school to middle school. So now we have 2 middle schools and a high school, and we're opening our second high school next fall.
Wow.
And we serve just over 1,000 kids in sort of southwestern Los Angeles, serving low-income communities of color, and really trying to reimagine education so that it's sustainable and equitable for everybody.
Absolutely beautiful. That's what I was saying earlier when you and I were chatting before we went live on air together. It's really amazing work that you're doing, Cammy. To have been involved in the development and creation of this is extraordinary. As Director of Strategic Initiatives at the Environmental Charter Schools. And that's in Redondo Beach?
Our offices are in Redondo Beach. Our schools are Inglewood, Gardena, Lawndale. So further east if you're a Los Angelian.
And we have a wonderful video here that I would love to share with everybody. The title is Come See for Yourself. And do you want to preface it a little bit? And as far as what we're going to see here, gives people a real understanding of the work that's being done.
Sure. Well, one of the things we're proudest of are our campuses. And we call them oases in sort of an urban setting. So we're surrounded by concrete and freeways on all sides. But our campuses are modeling the sustainable practices that we want our kids to embrace. And our students give tours of our campuses, not now because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
but students are our best salespeople. And they give tours. So when parents are interested in bringing their kids, they come on campus and have a student-led tour. Like any public charter in California, any student can apply. It's free and publicly funded. And we just pick names out of a hat, really. If more students apply than we have space for. And so the video is our invitation to people to come see the campuses, because you can't really fully understand the family feeling and the environment of our schools until you come see for yourself.
Here it is. That's the name of the video. Enjoy it, folks. And we'll be back with our very special guest live from Los Angeles, California on the Jim Master Show Live, Kami Cotler. Come see for yourself.
I just fell in love. I said, this school is doing exactly what I'm wishing that the school I'm working at right now is doing. And I thought, I gotta be here.
Environmental Charter Schools is a growing network of public charter schools serving South Los Angeles.
I started Environmental Charter Schools because I wanted to create a place that was going to be fun to come to work every day.
Oh, okay. This is what happens at the school. I wanted to be part of it right away. A place that you're happy to work at, you're doing what you love, and then you have a supporting staff.
Teachers here are committed and they're fun.
They take risks, they're challenging themselves.
We ask our teachers to work incredibly hard. We ask them to collaborate with one another. We are an interdisciplinary school.
We definitely make the time to come together and collaborate and share ideas.
Everyone's just working together to strive for the same mission, to meet the same goal, which is to make our community better.
The walls between the classroom and the community are just non-existent here. I feel like we're trying to change the way education looks.
We support our students to get into a four-year university.
Many of them are first in their families to go to college.
Camping is something that I've never really done. Last year in the spring, I went with our 8th grade girls to Channel Island, like actually sleeping in tents, hiking.
When they're away and they're in the wilderness, they don't have video games, they don't have cell phones. You know, it's back to basics out there.
Environmental Charter High School doesn't have a school garden. The whole school is growing fruit, vegetables, native plants.
We have a river on campus and there's fish in it.
From the moment students walk onto campus, they see an environment that mirrors how much we value them.
They know that when they're not here, we're going to miss them.
I think what makes us special is the level of respect that we have for our students and our students have for adults here on campus.
They get a lot of love here.
I love these kids. You know, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I love these kids.
1, 2, 3. If you're down to create new models and implement them and completely fail and then try again, this is the place.
You need to have a space where you can grow and take risks as a grown-up.
You feel like you're becoming a better professional, a better teacher, and that's the goal.
I really feel like I found my perfect job.
But it's not until you step foot on our campus that you really fully understand what's happening here.
hard to explain.
I can't even describe it. You have to see it.
And when I first saw that, when you sent that to me, you said, "Hey, Jim, we're going to talk about the Waltons and all the other things that people know about, but I want you to really get a good feel for the other things that I do," which I was already aware of. But when I saw the video, it just really put it all together. That's what a fantastic opportunity for all of these kids to really experience education and life in such a rich way, huh?
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure to watch it grow. When we expanded to the middle school, we had our first incoming class of sixth graders spend a couple weeks during the summer on the high school campus, and just watching like, what are those? Those are grapes. They're grapes growing, and that's a chicken and their eggs, and just you forget the things that kids don't know about. And I think there's something profound about knowing where your food comes from. Right? It's like a basic human understanding. And then, we put a lot of, we invest a lot in our teachers and our staff, right? We try to hire really passionate, driven people who care a lot about kids and who are creative and resourceful. And we've really seen it in the spring when we had to switch to distance learning in just a matter of a couple days. And we are the farthest thing from a distance learning school, like we're project based and we want kids to get their hands dirty and we want them to build things and make things and figure things out and canvas their neighborhoods. And then we had to go completely remote. Like on one hand, it was against all our beliefs, but it was also the only way to stay in touch with our kids. And in a matter of a couple of weeks, we were making partnerships to make sure all of our students had connectivity and could get online, and we're getting laptops and Chromebooks out to all of our kids and making sure that food service continued so that they could still come pick up lunch. I mean, it was a big lift, and it was so just amazing to me to watch how the team did it. Like the teachers did it, and the staff did it, everyone. It's just a great group of people.
Really, absolutely beautifully done, and continues to be, Cammy. And it's amazing. It almost seems so apropos that somebody that was a child of the Waltons would have gone on to do something like what you're doing anyway. Like almost as if, and of course that's just tying in a television show that's scripted, but if you were to like continue the role of what Elizabeth Walton became as she, moved on in her life, that's almost exactly where you would place Elizabeth Walton with the values and the family values and nature and everything that was created by that television show, as well as your own family. So you'd almost predict that young Elizabeth would be doing something like what you're doing, which is kind of cool if you put those two worlds together.
I mean, Michael always says, that people sometimes tarnish the Waltons with the notion that it was saccharine or overly sweet. And Michael always says, no, like we tackled some really significant issues. We looked at the rise of Nazism. We looked at book burning and racism and women having access to healthcare. Like social justice issues were woven into the stories quite naturally. And we weren't, like I say, we weren't perfect. We were grubby and we bickered and we made mistakes. But we were always learning. And I think that's the same basic experience for kids, right? Is how do we empower them to be brave enough to try things?
Yeah.
And then make mistakes, learn from it, and then do better next time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. M. Schmidt watching on our YouTube channel. Again, anybody watching on our YouTube channel at Gym Masters TV, we would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the channel. That helps the show. M. Schmidt says, thankfully, technology is at a point where this works so well. If the pandemic had happened maybe 30 years ago, education would be looking a lot different. That's true, too. Jean Reed says, amazing. Thank you for all you do for the schools and the students. When you pair education and fun together, the students seem to be more involved and willing to learn. Irish 43 watching. Wow, I would have done so much better if I would have gone to a school like that. Hello to all my fellow Lovedies. Cynthia watching. Welcome, Cynthia. Heartwarming to see the smiles on all those kids' faces. And Wozniak, watching in Florida, saying, having worked in the school system in South Carolina for 20 years and in Jacksonville, Florida for 15, this school is amazing. Daryl saying, I like the success percentage as well. Amy, who's a wonderful poet, she says the school looks wonderful where teachers are allowed to teach and not all the administrative stuff they have in other public schools. How amazing. And Margaret saying amazing experiences for the students. And Gary saying, wow, this is what school should be like. Cynthia saying, awesome. Daryl saying, you got a cool school. Kathleen Walker in New York City saying very nice. And Mary Bishop in Florida, how wonderful. Bernadette saying cool experiences for students and teachers alike. Juanita watching in South Africa, who has a young daughter who's going into school now. What an amazing school. And kind of like what I was saying earlier, Rayanne saying, how cool. Almost as if you're following in Will Gear, Grandpa Walton's footsteps. Kind of amazing when you hear that, huh? Some of those wonderful comments. So that brings you great blessing and joy in your life, working with the students and being a part of such an atmosphere like that. Is the how are the schools funded? How does that? Are there donations? How does that all work?
Yeah, like any public school in California, we're funded with taxpayer money based on attendance and enrollment. And like any public school, we take the state tests and our teachers are credentialed. We have to renew our charter petition every 5 years. So that's basically we go up in front of a board and we say, please let us continue to operate because we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So that's how it's different. And then we partner with a lot of different organizations in terms of both getting additional funds and getting additional expertise. So right now we're in the middle of preparing to build our second high school. So we're looking for partnerships with folks with experience in building and design and architecture, where we've had some really generous partners help with drawing plans and imagining how we're going to transform this space. We'll be hiring new teachers, so we're always looking for passionate and driven and creative folks who want to come work at our schools. And then, like any school, anybody who has children, I always say, know that there's never enough money, right? So we work with generous people in terms of donating their time and their money and their expertise to help us do all the things we do. We try to have an overnight camping trip every single year for every single grade level because we find that it's really transformative for the kids. A lot of our students are the first in their family to go to college, and they'll tell us, in the middle of their freshman year, like, I didn't think I could make it, but then I would think back to that backpacking trip in the desert, and I knew if I could backpack for 3 days that I can get through freshman year. And we know if they can get through freshman year, then the chances of them making it all the way through are a lot better. So I think, we're always looking for people who are passionate about education and the environment, to be part of our community, to help us with checks and with time and with insight and introducing us to people. So we're all about the community and partnership.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Jean Reed says, amazing. Thank you for all you do for the schools and the students. When you pair education fund together, students seem to be more involved, and congratulations on the new school as well. Having seen the different things that you've seen and been involved in with education, as well as performance and entertainment, when you look back at some of the things that you've had an opportunity to witness and just really be a part of, there is a relationship there between both of them sort of leaving the room better than they found it. What you're doing in education is doing that, mentoring and inspiring young minds and giving them the fortitude, the resilience, the ability to be able to explore the essence of who they are and experience, warmth and love and joy, kind of like what was happening on the Waltons as well. And there's a similarity. There's almost like a thread in both seem to have the ability to inspire people to do more, to do better, to be involved, to love thy fellow man, to respect, and all of that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I see a thread with it all.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it that way because it's just my life. I'm just doing it.
Right.
But I think that notion of things being connected, right? That you really aren't in isolation, even if you feel like you are. And the things you do and the actions you take and the choices you make impact on all kinds of people in all kinds of different ways. And I think the Waltons showed that importance of being connected and being mindful of everybody else's humanity. And we try the same thing at school, right? Like helping them understand like what you do impacts on the ocean and what you do impacts on your neighbors, and that you have the power to make changes. And now when we get kids involved in fixing problems they see in their communities, they begin to realize that math and English and history and science have a purpose. They're not just random things that grown-ups make you do. There are tools that make you more effective at making things the way you think they ought to be. And that's the flow.
There were a couple of questions that came in, Waltons related. Were there any crushes on set? People have crushes on each other.
I would say not the regular cast members. We were together too much. But I would also say like there were some very handsome guest stars. Let's be clear. I mean, a young Jonathan Frakes as Ashley Longworth Jr. Like I had such a crush. I mean, not that I was a little kid, so he never noticed me. But I had a crush on him. And then Peter Fox played our minister. I probably had a little crush on him, sure. And yeah, I mean, I was a teenage girl. Yes,
sure.
But not on anybody playing my relatives.
No, not on the Waltons. Also, they've been asking too, is there any possibility of any sort of another reunion in the works?
Not that I'm aware of. The kinds of reunions that we have now are more like fan events. So like sometimes we've gone before to Marshfield, Missouri for the Cherry Blossom Festival. They'll invite a bunch of us out and we'll get to do, like interview panels and autograph shows and just kind of meet and greets. And then there's a museum, a Walton Mountain Museum in Schuyler, Virginia, which is across the street from the house where Earl Hamner grew up, which is much smaller than the Walton house on television, and had a for kids. So I don't know how they fit. And it's also next door to the John and Olivia Bed and Breakfast, which is an inn that's just recently opened that really pretty faithfully recreates that Walton house in terms of both the exterior and the interior. And we've been to that. We've been to Schuyler before to stay at the house. We were the first guests for the bed and breakfast. And then again, people come and meet, and we get to chat with fans and do selfies and answer questions and all that fun stuff. So we keep talking about like doing more of those kinds of events, maybe a couple a year, because we like to see each other.
Sure.
And the fans are really nice people, so it's fun to sit and chat with them too.
That's what I was going to say. You and I were chatting before we went live that you guys really do stay in touch, and there's this continued mutual respect and rooting on each other. And that doesn't always happen with television shows and movies. People move on to that next project, that next thing. And a couple of weeks ago, well, it was 2 weeks ago, we had Anson Williams on from Happy Days and so much more. And he was talking about how they stay in touch with Ron Howard and Donnie Most and Marion Ross and so many of the other cast members, Henry Winkler. You guys do that as well, huh?
Yeah. And all the Happy Days crew is a really nice group of people too, right? We used to play softball. We competed against them in our softball.
Oh, did you really?
And another really nice group of people. We see each other like any extended family, it's hard to get everybody together.
Yeah.
We see each other in groups. Not that long ago, Mary and Judy, Eric, and our spouses and me all went like on a long 3-day weekend and went to some wineries and kind of no fans, just hanging out together. And a bunch of us went down to Santa Fe last spring to see one of our former producers, Claire Whitaker, who lives down there. So we find more and more, we find really intentional opportunities to get together. because we like to see each other.
What would you say to somebody watching live right now, Cammy, or maybe on demand later on our YouTube channel, who's considering going into acting, going into the world of performance now? Obviously, it's changed in so many different ways over the years since the Waltons and some of the other productions you've been in. What bit of advice would you give them? Because you've seen all aspects of it and appreciate it. What would you say to them?
I would give them the same advice that I used to give to my drama students in high school, which is don't do it if the reason you're doing it is you want to be famous or you want to be rich. Because it's a terrible way to get rich. There are many more reliable ways to do that, like become an engineer, right? That's a reliable way to make a lot of money. And most actors never, ever make a lot of money, so don't do that. Secondly, do you really want to be famous? Like, think it through, because if you think it through, you might discover it's a terrible, terrible idea. It means that you can never have privacy, especially now with mass media and cell phones and social media. Like you can never relax, right? You can never pick your nose again.
No, it's like being an on-call doctor. You gotta be at a funeral and you're getting texts. It's like, I'm at a funeral. Can you give me at least an hour?
There's no time off, and people are always watching you, and they are not always generous, right? So if you have a bad day because you have a stomach ache and you're just in a bad mood, and you say one cranky thing to one person, they tell the world now, right? It used to be they would just tell their friends.
That's the stuff they're looking for. They want to see that.
So that's got to be exhausting, and you have to be a really strong person to get that much critical feedback from a bunch of people who are not that well intended. So the reason to act is because you love acting and because you have to act. That's true. It doesn't have to be on television, right? It might turn out to be on television, but it could be in community theater, and it could be in your living room with your friends coming over to read a play aloud, and it could be in all kinds of different ways. So if that's who you are and you're driven to act, and you would act anywhere, anytime, for no money, for no audience, then okay. Then you probably should to go ahead and be an actor, but have a backup plan because you're also going to need to pay your rent. So was that reason nice?
You know, you've matched what a lot of people in the performance world have said is if you're 50% into an acting career, 50% being the accountant, you might, if it's 50-50, you might want to do the accountant because you really got to put it, there's rejection, blood, sweat, and tears, hours, all of it. And you got to really develop a thick skin and resilience with it all. Do you think that you did at all along the way? Did you have to build up a thick skin and resilience? Or do you think you had a little of that already early on? I mean, it just sounds like you had a little extra early on that buffered you and enveloped you and was really a positive thing for you early on in your career.
I think that the advantages that I had, like I said, was like my parents didn't need me to do it. In fact, they were happy if I didn't want to do it. And I was protected by a fabulous crew and a fabulous cast. And I was, like the internal advantage I had was not a thick skin. I'm not thick skinned. You can make me cry and hurt my feelings super easy. But I was thoughtful and analytical, so I could kind of understand what was going on. And I credit my mom too and my dad for like talking me through things. So if an assistant director shouted at me and hurt my feelings, like my mom would really take me through like a critical thinking process of why do you think he did that, and help me understand it wasn't personal and he's under a lot of pressure, and so that I began to realize that my feelings might be hurt, but that doesn't really mean the person intended to hurt me. But no, I would not describe myself as being thick-skinned, but I'm able to think through things so that my feelings aren't as hurt, if that makes sense.
That's a smart way to do it, actually, to do that. A lot more people should do that because we're in a very reactionary world right now where people react or overreact or everybody's on the offense. And I think if sometimes you stop, you pause, you think, you deduce, it tampers things down a little bit, and it becomes more logical, reasonable, and you can have good conversations without one jumping to conclusions or feeling threatened or what have you. So I think that wisdom that your parents imparted to you early, which I'm sure you've passed to your own children, not everybody, sometimes somebody says something to you, don't let it ruin your entire day because maybe something's going on in their life and they didn't mean it the way it came off, and maybe you're being sensitive to it. And we've all done that from time to time, felt sensitive about something that somebody said, because sometimes it comes from the person or people you least expect it to come from, and you don't cut them the slack to do it, or they don't cut you slack. So those are very wise words, my friend. And it's just what it's all about. And that translates into your work as an educator too.
Yeah, as you're talking, I was thinking like when you teach, you have to love every kid in the room, right? You have to know that every single kid is awesome in some way. And if one of them is driving you crazy, that's your issue. And you have to figure out, okay, what's happening with this kid so that I can understand and I can help them be who they really are supposed to be. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing on social media. On my Facebook page, I'll say, or on the YouTube channel, I don't allow put downs. It was one of my classroom rules, and it's one of my page rules. And if somebody puts somebody down, I'm going to message them and say, hey, you need to fix that, or I have to delete it. And it's okay to disagree, right? And it's okay to not have the same opinions and to feel strongly about things. But you can't put there's no need to put anybody down. It's never changed anybody's opinion.
Right.
And it just shuts things down and makes it's unpleasant. So so basically things that I used to do as a middle school principal, I do the same thing on Facebook, They're
right. Yeah, me too. Exactly. All positivity and, just trying to be inspirational and uplifting, no negativity, no, political, just none of that. You just try to be positive, because there's places for those. There's, areas you can go that have all of that. But the world spins a little bit smoother on its axis when you have positivity and unification. I've often said, even on this show, Cammy, that I'm hoping, through everything that we've all been experiencing in the last 10, 11 months, as we've been pivoting and we've been taking a look at our lives, a lot of people looking in the mirror to see, do I like the reflection that I'm seeing? Have I done things in my life that I've wanted to do? What's the next chapter or so? I'm hoping that we come out of all of this and we rise from the ashes of everything more empathetic, more kinder, more unified, more loving, compassionate, and we listen to one another more, as opposed to all of the speaking and only surrounding ourselves with voices that match ours. We are able to have everybody at the table, and there's a place for everybody at the table, and we all listen to one another as much as we speak. And that's what I'm hoping happens from everything that we've seen. Because I was saying that I think everything that happened starting in March of last year onward was a combination of three energies: the divine, planet Earth, and Mother Nature coming together and saying, all right, stop, knock off the nonsense. We're the ones that are really in charge, not you guys. We don't like what you're doing to each other, what you're doing to the planet. We're going to stop everything. And we're going to give you a pandemic, economic loss. We're going to give you societal unrest and political craziness, all in 1 year, in the start of a new decade. That's usually hopeful. And let's see how you guys manage this and work through this. And if there's any teachable moments, and will it bring out the best in people? Will it bring out the worst? And I think we've seen elements of each. So I think the divine, Mother Nature, and the earth came together and said, this is what we're going to do. And it's up to us to make, the best of the lessons we've learned through all of this.
Well, and when I think back to the Walton storylines, right, we didn't always agree, and everybody didn't all believe exactly the same way, right? Like frequently the storylines were about people with different opinions and different beliefs coming to the mountain and learning something from the Waltons, and the Waltons learning something from them. And they may not have agreed on everything by the end of the exchange, but there was there was movement, right? Like everybody found a way to benefit and grow. And, you know, we don't talk a lot of politics on my page, but politics is a part of life. And sometimes issues are raised and I'm like, we can talk about this, but we can't talk about this. Like if we can't put each other down, you can't
Be respectful. Yeah.
Can't call each other stupid, right? First of all, how are you going to change his mind if you call him stupid? That's just absurd.
Right.
Like look for common ground. Look for what you share. At the very least, you all like the Waltons, right? You have that in common.
Right. Look for the common elements first, right?
Right. Starting from that foundation of some agreement, like let's recognize that though you might be politically opposed, you all agree on some. You have some shared values, right, and some shared ideas that are reflected back to you when you watch this show, and that's a starting place as far as I'm concerned.
It is beautifully said. I just want to show you a couple of the comments. Brenda says, enjoying this so much. I work with special needs children as a teacher aide, almost 20 years, some very challenging children, but love working with them. That's Brenda. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you. You are a remarkable, caring, compassionate person. Love one another and the world would be a better place. Absolutely. Learn to respect everyone. Absolutely. Love that. No negativity. My team definitely appreciates the words as well. That's beautiful. And M. Schmidt says, being allowed to have a different opinion and still be nice to each other. What a concept. What a concept. And Jean watches the Waltons 3 times a day. So that's a super fan. Would you, have you thought at all about going back into performance and acting at all, whether it be commercials, corporate video, or television or film at some point?
I don't think to pursue as a career. I think I can imagine like doing a community theater when I retire. Like I think that would be fun. I've never been in a musical and I find singing terrifying and exciting. So like that would be fun. I think if somebody called me and said, hey, we're doing something, would you like to have like one line? I'd be like, that'd be fun. Yeah. I like being on sets. I enjoy crews. They're interesting people from all different places. So, but to like go through the whole process of like having an agent and going on
auditioning and
I don't know that.
The big thing now, self-tape at home, all the self-taping and
It doesn't sound like that much fun to me.
I know a lot of people are like, I don't like, well, because I think they miss the camaraderie and miss being there with the casting director and the fellow talent. And that's sort of been removed. But when you look at everything and you look at your life, what are some of those blessings and joys that you continue to celebrate, Cammy, this wonderful life you have and career? And again, you've been able to balance everything with a husband and children in a home that's comfortable and warm. What are some of those blessings and joys that continue to, envelop you?
Well, I've just been privileged over and over again. You know, from my vantage point here, I know that I was privileged to have 2 parents who were college educated, and expecting both their children to go to college was assumed, right? And I was privileged to come from a family of storytellers who told stories and celebrated, great grandparents and that whole warm tradition. And then I was privileged to drop accidentally into a group of actors who had all their own gifts and experiences from, Will Geer's massively rich life as a social justice warrior and as an actor and a thespian and a Shakespearean and someone who hung out with, Woody Guthrie. And then all of the adult actors have these phenomenal backgrounds that I got to just be with. And then being fortunate enough to work with really talented educators over and over and over again, who work so hard and so creatively to meet and make come true the gifts of the children that we're lucky enough to work with.
Beautifully said, and it really encompasses so much as well, Cammy. This was really delightful. This was really, really beautiful, and really loved.
for the invitation. I think I put you off for a while because I'm busy trying to keep schools together. But this was a real treat for me. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I hope the show met whatever expectations that you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I certainly have with you, Cammy.
Well, I love conversation, so it was perfect. And I don't get enough of it because of this bloody pandemic. So thank you. And I think it's lovely how you've created this little community here where people can drop in and have some conversation and chat, because chatting is good for the soul. And I hope that, like, if you find yourself in Los Angeles, you're going to have to come visit the schools.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to come and break bread if I'm on a TV shoot out that way or what have you. I will definitely let you know, Cammy. I just want to let you know, we have a little cast of characters here, and somebody that's been watching this afternoon and this evening who thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, George Burns.
Oh, wow.
Cigar and all. He absolutely loved it, and he sends his love. Can't go wrong with George Burns, right?
Ever. I'm pretty sure I met George Burns once because, he filmed on our lot. I think Oh God 2 or 3 was on our lot. So I think I met her. To the legend.
So you can say not only were you on the Waltons, but that you met God. How many people can say that? That is amazing. Just want to show you a couple of final levity comments here. Again, the show filled with levity. Amy saying, thank you, Cammy, for your thoughts and insight on education. Great show. A true levity for sure. You are. Cynthia saying, this has been a tough time for so many of us, but watching the Waltons each day is very comforting. Thank you, dear Cammy. And we love you. And Jim, thank you very much, Cynthia. We love you back. Margaret saying, thank you, Jim and Cammy, for an enjoyable evening. Take care. And I watch the Waltons twice each day. Thank you, Cammy, for such an amazing evening. We thank you as well. Anne M. Schmidt says, thank you both for so much. Wonderful end to the work week. It's been delightful. And Kathleen Walker in New York City, thank you, Jim and Cammy. A true levity. I agree 100%, gang. You're right. Spot on. Juanita still with us. And it's like tomorrow morning already for her in South Africa. She's a real levity. What a great conversation. Thank you so much, Cammy, for spending time with us and sharing your stories. Keep well. Mary Bishop says, wonderful conversation. Thanks, Cammy. She's in Florida. Thank you, Cammy. Stay safe and stay well, from Bernadette. Linda Odell in Florida says, thank you, Cammy, for sharing your life story with all of us levities. Daryl saying, thank you so much. Love you, Cammy. Rayanne saying, thank you so much. Thanks, Jim, for hosting this. I'll have to come back and join in again sometime. Absolutely. We would love that. You can see any of the past episodes at Jim Masters TV on YouTube. Jean Reed, thank you, Cammy and Jim. Wonderful conversation. Brenda says, thank you both. Gary, Cammy, thank you for spending your evening with this wonderful conversation with us. Absolutely. Love it, gang. You guys are the best. And Paula saying, thank you both for a lovely evening. Great end to the week. Keep well, levities. Carla, whose father Armando was the key grip. Wonderful to see you, Cammy, after all these years. Carla is wonderful. She was actually a guest on our show, too. We had so much fun. She is the real deal as well, just like her father. Kathy Short in Cleveland, thank you, Cammy, for sharing so much of your time with us. It's been a great evening. And Crispy Alfalfa, Cammy, you're doing great. I love that. And Linda Odell says, please come back, Cammy, as well. And of course, yes, we will keep that porch light on for you, Cammy. You are welcome back anytime, and it'll be a pleasure. Let's stay in touch. And I toast you and your illustrious career in television, but also the beautiful work you're doing in education, which really does leave the room better than you found it, my friend. You have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for spending this time with us, and I wish you nothing but all the continued blessings. And we'll chat again real soon.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a great weekend.
You too, Cammy. Take care now. Good night, Cammy. Good night, John Boy. Good night. How many people ask you to say that?
Everybody. So good night, Jim. Good night, John Boy. Good night, everybody.
Good night, levities. Thanks, Cammy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Kami Cotler, she's extraordinary, isn't she? And for those of you who just knew her from television and other things, now you realize some of the other work that she's done beyond Hollywood. Really, really cool stuff. And that video that she so graciously shared with me personally, I wanted to share with all of you to see the school and see some of the amazing things that she's doing as an educator. Yeah, a great guest. And she and I had been putting this together for a number of weeks. And we wanted to do it when it wasn't too crazy for her because, you know, being an educator and with everybody doing education at home and all homeschooling, all the different things that have been happening, the remote learning that is, it gets a little crazy. So happy we'll be able to spending 2 hours with a very special guest, Kami Cotler from the Waltons and so much more. Brilliant actress and phenomenal educator. Bernadette, she can come to a musical. Absolutely. She's amazing. I agree, Linda. And good night, Elizabeth and Cammy. Good night, John Boy, right? Exactly. In college, my roommate's first name was Bob. He's now a sports writer and editor. And they would say, good night, Jim Bob. Jim and Bob when we would walk down the hall. Kurt Stacy says, what a wonderful show. Thank you both for your insight and positive message. Kurt, thank you very much. And I hope you'll sample us again soon. We are here just about 7 days a week live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We've done about 275, 280 episodes of our entertainment lifestyle talk show series, The Jim Masters Show Live, with extraordinary guests from all walks of life, fields of endeavor, levels of success. And it's an entertainment lifestyle talk show series patterned after the old school talk shows, bringing back the lost art of conversation with light, levity, love, and as we call it, lovity, and with humor and the modern twist and modern vibe of today as well. Pretty cool. It's welcome to all age groups, zip codes, doesn't matter, you know, your political stance, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your income level, doesn't matter your religion, where you live, how tall you are, how short you are, doesn't matter. Everybody's welcome to tune in and enjoy the ride. Lovely ride, as everybody calls it here. I love the Walton Show. So nice to listen to the stories and meet her. Mona from Louisiana, it's good to see you. I'm glad you can tune in. Great show again. Thanks, Jim. Cammy was lovely. Absolutely. I want to let you know, too, that just announced today, we're very excited. Another legend in television and film, Dee Wallace. Yes, the extraordinary Dee Wallace, who's been in so many television shows. She's played a TV and film mom oftentimes. Dee Wallace is going to be with us in March, on Thursday, March 4th, live here on the Jim Masters Show Live. That's right. Very exciting. The one and only Dee Wallace. Again, you've seen her in countless movies over the years. So many incredible movies and television series. She's got, I think, 3 films coming out and 2 television series coming out as well. She's going to be with us on I think it's, Thursday, or is it? No, it's actually Saturday. It's Saturday the 6th. It's going to be on a Saturday night, which is going to be really exciting. That's coming up in March. We'll keep you posted on our Facebook page at Jim Masters TV. You can find me also on Instagram at Jim Masters TV. I'm on Twitter at Jim Masters TV. And of course, right here on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. We'll make the formal announcement and date and time. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. But I think it is Saturday, the 6th of March. That's going to be amazing. We're really excited about that. It's going to be really, really cool. So that's exciting. And just want to tell you some other guests. Tomorrow, we have a very special guest live from Ireland, Irish singer, songwriter, and musician, Brian Dunphy from the High Kings is going to be here 2 p.m. Eastern, live from Ireland, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it'll be 7 p.m. in Ireland, Scotland, and England, exclusively on our YouTube channel. That is tomorrow, Saturday, the 13th of February. And I want to show you that Saturday night also, we're going to do a very special show tomorrow night. After Brian is on with us in the afternoon, we're going to do a Saturday night Valentine's Lovity host chat episode. That's right. It's the viewers and myself. You guys have been asking for another host chat episode. So it's Valentine's Day weekend, Lovity weekend. We talk about Lovity a lot. So what better weekend to do a host chat show than tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific live. So we've got 2 shows for you tomorrow. Brian Dunphy, the Irish singer, songwriter, musician, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, here on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Then on Saturday night, get ready. Lovity coming at you in full force with our special host chat Valentine's weekend Lovity episode. It's going to be cool. On Tuesday, smooth jazz, incredible saxophonist and composer Will Donato is going to be with us live, and he's going to play live for us. We're going to have a brilliant conversation. Looking forward to that. That is going to be amazing. We also have another legend, another Hollywood legend. He was in Car 54, Where Are You?, the legendary TV series, also voice of G.I. Joe and countless TV shows and films. This is legendary Hank Garrett. He's going to be with us next week. Brilliant Irish fiddler and violinist making her return visit to the Jim Masters Show Live. Tiffany Moore is going to be with us next week. On Friday of next week, legendary bassist and jazz musician, the one and only Kenny James is going to be here next Friday. We're very excited about that. Very excited about that. And also the very popular group, the Byrne Brothers, are going to be with us coming up in March as well. And this is really cool. So next week, we have some amazing guests from television and music and film and Hollywood and jazz all week long, that is. And again, tomorrow, Brian Dunphy's with us at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Special time tomorrow. It's going to be incredible. He's going to play live for us. And then we're going to do a special show tomorrow night, host chat, Lovity episode, Valentine's weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be really cool. We thank our very special guest, Kami Cotler, joining us. Elizabeth, of course, Walton, but Kami Cotler in the flesh. She was wonderful, wasn't she? So intuitive, and she was really ahead of her time as a kid. She just really soaked it all in and appreciated it. And brilliant, brilliant person inside and out, and such a treasure to have on our show. We thank her. And again, if you missed any of the episode, you'd like to see this episode again or share this episode with others, all of the episodes, including this one, you can find on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV, 24/7, 365 days a year. You can binge watch our episodes. There's over 280 episodes thus far of the Jim Masters Show Live, which is really, really cool. We love that. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We would love that as well. That would be awesome. Some really cool shots we looked at over the course of our wonderful conversation with Cammy. Hope you enjoyed it all. There she is with the sisters, of course. There's another cool shot. First time working with a cow, she had mentioned. That was really, really cool. Of course, some of those first headshots early on. Here's another cool shot as well. On the cover of McCall's magazine with Richard Thomas, of course, who played John Boy on the Waltons as well. There she is in the Homecoming, which he had talked about, which was really, really classic. And again, she's just a wonderful person inside and out, Kami Cotler. Pleasure to have her on the show. And always a pleasure to have you guys here too. Kathleen Walker says, awesome. Can't wait. Thanks, Jim. Have a great night. Good night all. Stay safe. You as well. And Ann says, just saw them a little while ago. They are awesome. Thank you, Ann, as well. I know you're very excited that the Byrne Brothers are coming on the show. We just posted it on the Facebook page of Jim Masters TV, the date and time. Yes, Dee Wallace was in E.T. as well. Dee Wallace, brilliant and incredible Dee Wallace. Also, The Hills Have Eyes. Remember we had Susie Lanier Bramlett on the show, who was on The Hills Have Eyes, the movie? Well, Dee Wallace played her older sister in that movie as well. And she's been on NCIS and you name it. Dee Wallace has been on it. But yes, she was in the movie Steven Spielberg's E.T. as well. She's coming on the show. We're so excited. And so many others. It's incredible. You love the Irish music? Tomorrow, yes, a lot of Irish crack for the afternoon episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. So you'll enjoy that, Bernadette. Tell your friends, everybody, if you can share the opportunity of telling others about our amazing entertainment lifestyle talk show series, I would love that. Not only subscribe to the YouTube channel, but like our Facebook page, Jim Masters TV. Follow us on Instagram at Jim Masters TV and Twitter at Jim Masters TV. Of course, Cammy is on all of those locations as well. And just tell everybody about our series that helps us continue to grow by leaps and bounds. More people. We've had a lot of people discover the show today, and we welcome each and every one of you back to join our lovely faithful. Good night, Jim, and all the lovelies. Enjoy the show. Stay safe and warm. Hugs and love from Louisiana to you as well. Mona. Juanita says, looking forward to the host chat. Bring flowers and chocolates. Are you sending those to me as well? I wish I had those chocolate-covered pecans that Ann Wozniak sent my way. We devoured those. Mary Bishop, good night, everyone. Take care. Yes, the Byrne brothers are so great. They really are. Young guys and 3 brothers and their dad. And we just firmed that up with them today, which is very, very exciting. We had about 10 new guests book to be on our show. Some of them are contacting me and they want to just come on the show. They watch the show on YouTube and they absolutely love it. And I appreciate that. Some are coming through PR agencies. Some are friends of mine. However they come, and it's beautiful. And good night, lovely Jim and lovelies. Gary, thank you very much. And tomorrow on the lovely Valentine's episode, I'm going to share with our audience, Gary, that wonderful package that you sent me and some other things that other lovely viewers have sent my way, gifts and different things, which it's so beautiful that you've sent. I mean, I've received food and chocolates and books and paintings and just amazing things. You guys are, amazing, very touching. Good night, Jim. Thanks for another excellent show. Good night, fellow lovelies, and everyone, please stay safe and stay well. You as well. Bernadette, and more coming in here. I love this. Cynthia says, good night, everyone, and stay safe. Cynthia also adds in here, Jim, you are a great interviewer and have an awesome show and delivery. So glad I found your channel. Thank you very much, Cynthia. I appreciate that. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live and to the lovely experience. Definitely tell your family, your friends, share the links, tell everybody that we're here. We would love that. And I invite everybody to continue to discover our show as we continue to share the lovely with everybody and subscribe to that YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Thanks for joining us. Great show again. Thanks, Jim. Cammy was lovely. Wasn't she, Juanita? I knew you guys would really enjoy her. Truly amazing. Jennifer Barry is all zen in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Thanks, Jim, for having Cammy on. Cammy is cool. She sure is. I agree. And Carla says, Carla, it was so good to hear your voice. We'll have to have you come back on the show as well. Good night, John Boy. Carla, amazing that Cammy had worked with your father, Armando. I know you mentioned your dad in the illustrious Hollywood history when you were a guest on our show last year, Carla. We'll have to have you come back. We had such a wonderful time. Lots of laughs on that episode, right, Carla? Absolutely. Juanita says, I'll send the flowers, Jim. You'll get them in 2023. I'll keep the chocolates safe. With the way the mail's been, we mailed Christmas packages to Florida. They didn't get them until 2 weeks ago. Now, this is what, February? Good night, Jim. Thank you. They are excited. Good night, all. Yes. Thank you so much, Ann. Absolutely. Bernadette says, did you hear from our surprise? No, not yet. I hope to get them. Karen wants Emmett Cahill on. No, we're still trying. Reach out to him. Say, hey, get on the Jim Masters Show Live. All the others, Ryan Kelly and Damian McGinty and Paul Byram and Emmett O'Hanlon and Keith Harkin. They've all been on. And we've had great, and Colin Keegan and so many others. I'd love to have him on. Good friend, and I've interviewed him on PBS and have emceed their concerts. So hopefully he'll come on at some point. I think he wants to. It's just that he's been busy with a few things lately, but reach out too. Nathan Pacheco is going to be on. He's a brilliant performer, and there's a few other surprises that I can't say yet, but there's just some really cool people that are coming on, and you guys are the best. So everybody, we're going to be here 2 shows tomorrow. Big show tomorrow with Brian Dunphy from the High Kings, live from Ireland. He and I have been friends for a long time. I've interviewed him on public television. I've emceed their concerts at various venues. And so we're going to have a good time tomorrow. And then I'll be back with all of you for our special Valentine's weekend Lovity show. Who knows where it's going to take us? Who knows? We're just going to let it ride tomorrow. So I hope you join us. And yeah, the High Kings are great, aren't they? We had Darren Holden on a few weeks ago, another buddy of mine, live from Ireland. He performed live as well. So you can see that episode on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. Yes, he's been very busy, absolutely. So I'm sure he'll come on at some point. He's always welcome, and just keep spreading the word. The beautiful tapestry when Julie Budd was on the show, right? You looked back at the episodes, didn't you? You were thinking about that. You lost some sleep. Well, that was great. And big day tomorrow. Yeah, Valentine's Lovity weekend. We got a special show at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a host chat episode with me and all of you fabulous viewers from around the world. We're going to have a lot of fun. And you saw Darren's show. Cool. Sometimes it's good to rewatch some of the episodes too, because you miss, even me, sometimes I miss certain things because I'm hosting the show. So sometimes you can actually miss certain elements and you get to watch it as a viewer. Kind of interesting, like Cammy was saying, I concur with what she was saying about how, when you're doing the work, sometimes you don't see it in the same way that viewers see something, movies, television, whatever it may be, or if it's radio, how listeners hear it. Same thing if you're in music, you're performing and you're doing your job, you're working, you're perfecting. And sometimes we don't always see these things in the way that the viewer does. That's why I like to actually, some people don't watch their stuff, but I like to watch my things back, not right away sometimes, because it's always shock value, because we're critiquing our work. But I like to watch the stuff back sometimes because it does help me fine tune. And sometimes there are things where I thought it, stunk. I'm like, oh, that's going to be rotten. And then I watch them like, you know what? That was just a drop in the bucket. That was nothing. And the way we sort of recovered from the disaster or something technically goes wrong, whether it's online or in a television studio or on set or on stage, some of those are the moments when you really got to rise and shine and move quickly and think quickly. And I know Cammy's experienced that as well. So I totally identify with what she said as far as, she saw it through a different lens as being the performer on set on the Waltons. I see the work that I do from that lens as well. But then when you flip it back and you watch it removed from the emotion of the actual doing the work, it could be quite cool. We have certainly had some good times on this series, and some very funny things have happened and funny episodes that I've caught by watching back some of these episodes. And a lot of chairs. We've seen a lot of chairs and a lot of people's phones dying out and a lot of cool things. We're going to have Lin tomorrow on the Lovity Weekend host chat episode of the Jim Master Show Live. Your favorite panda, Lin, is going to be back. You've got Gilligan back there, and you've got Silver, and you've got Jimmy there. We're going to bring them on set tomorrow, and Lin is getting all spiffed up for tomorrow. We are a fun bunch. Yes, we are on the Jim Master Show Live. Jennifer says, you holding Lin melts my heart. Not a lot of people can melt me heart. Ken as well. Jim and Ken. And good night, everyone. Have a great Saturday tomorrow. We sure will. And we will see you as well. Looking forward to the host chat episode. I know you guys have been asking for that. And Karen Campbell Green, Jim, I sent you a link for a very incredible guest possibility on Instagram message. He's a young man from Ireland, born with no legs, only one arm, Paralympian, very positive young man. Boy, I'd love that. And if you find any contact information, emails or something, send that my way too, and we'll reach out. I'd love to have, that sounds like a very inspiring guest. Absolutely. Christine Clifton, Jim, thanks for this insightful conversation with Cammy tonight. Many interesting stories. I concur that were shared. Good night, Jim, and all lovities. See you tomorrow for double Lovity. That's right. Lin's going to be here. George Burns is with us. Gilligan, Silver, Jimmy, who knows who else. There is a special appearance of one of your favorites that's going to be here. Yes, mentioned to Emmett, absolutely on the page. Thank you as well, Gary. You've mentioned that as well. Amy, spending the weekend delivering flowers and spreading lovity. Great fun. Happy Valentine's Day to all. You too, Amy. Beautiful weekend for poetry, right, Amy, as well? And absolutely. And cool stuff. You guys are the best. All these wonderful comments and so much more. Again, if you missed anything, you can see every episode of the Jim Masters Show live right there on YouTube at Jim Masters TV on YouTube. And if you have a suggestion for a guest, now we are booked. We're booking all the way into April. We are booked straight out in February. I think all of March is booked with guests and great episodes as well. And we're into the middle of April now. So trying to jockey, move things around. And, you know, when I do the guest bookings, I like to make it where there's variety, where we don't have the same theme and topic night after night. You know, we talk about something different. We will learn something new. Maybe the guest brings some new perspective with them from their genre of, you know, their career or life or endeavor. So we try to really mix it up. Because again, variety is the spice of life, and variety is what this entertainment lifestyle talk show series is all about. So we try to, you know, book people where there's a lot of variety. We have some amazing people that are coming on. As I mentioned, 2021 is quite a year thus far on the Jim Masters Show Live, and 2020 was as well. But if you have a suggestion for a guest, somebody that you think would be great, let them know if you want. Some of you have reached out to people too, which I think is cool. JimMastersTV@gmail.com. That's JimMastersTV@gmail.com is the show's email address if you would like to send along a suggestion. We still have a list of people that have been presented to us, people that are friends of mine, people that some of you have suggested, agents, managers, PR people have approached us on as well. We're sort of churning away at the list to, you know, when people's availability is, my availability, the guests' availability. It's a lot of pieces to the puzzle to make it all work. But there you go there, JimMastersTV@gmail.com. You can also drop a line. Just let us know how much you're enjoying the show. You guys are very expressive during the show to let us know, which we really appreciate and I think is wonderful as well. So we're going to wrap up because we've got a busy day tomorrow. We're going to be back at 2 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be a lot of fun as my buddy Brian Dunphy from the High Kings live from Ireland is going to be here 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, a little bit earlier tomorrow, and 7 p.m. in Ireland, Scotland, and England. Then we're back at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific with a Valentine's Lovity host chat episode tomorrow. So think about some of the things you want to chat about. We'll have a good time tomorrow. As always, we say at the end of the show, don't forget to smile and share your smiles. Don't forget to share the lovity, really important, cool thing to do. Don't forget to find your Zen place. Mine, of course, is always with loving family and friends, cycling, tennis, music, writing, and of course, the ocean. I love the ocean. We're here on the East Coast of the United States, in the Northeast, in the greater New York area, along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. That is where the show originates, and we're here on the ocean and love it. Although we've got some snow and ice coming this weekend here in the Northeast. It's going to be a little crazy. Snow and ice. I think Saturday night, Sunday, and then Tuesday, we were in this, pattern of snow and cold. We've had snow like 3 times this week here. The last couple of years, we sort of got off scot-free. The ocean isn't something I would be swimming in right now, unless I was part of the Polar Bear Club. But generally, I love the ocean: swimming, surfing, kiteboarding, windsurfing, boogie boarding, sailing, floating in it, walking in it as well. So that's my Zen place. Find your Zen place, whatever that may be. And as always here, traditionally on the Gym Master Show Live, we like to say, don't forget to relax. Relax, breathe from the diaphragm, and love one another and love yourself, not in an egotistical, narcissistic way. Love yourself in a way where you realize the true value that you have, because there's a lot of, people and elements out there that will try to devalue you and say that you're not worth coming to the table. Not here at the Gym Master Show Live. Everybody has value and worth, and everybody has something to share. We're all valuable. And while you're doing that, just like these people did in the 1920s or 30s, it looks like in this scene from Newport, Rhode Island, relax. All right, gang, we're going to wrap up. You guys are amazing. The comments are still coming in. We love doing these shows, hosting, producing this series with all of you. Yes, I love that icon. Couch Zen for Jennifer as well. Yes, Jim, go get some sleep. Absolutely. We're definitely going to do that. We have some leftover chicken and rice too. We had some chicken and rice for dinner and vegetables. Really, we did a baked chicken, really delicious, almost like cutlets with a little adobo seasoning on it. That was really, really good with a little bit of we put a little bit of in the baking pan, the tinfoil and the chicken slices, and then a little bit of adobo seasoning on both sides, and then a little bit of water in the pan when we put it in the oven at 350 for about an hour. Chicken came out really, I just got to stop talking about food. I need to save this for the food episode. But anyway, that little bit of adobo seasoning, I think it was Lowry's. It was really good. That had some pepper in it as well, and flipped it over. Just a little bit of water, so the moisture from the water would absorb into the chicken, but not make it too soggy. But also, without the water, you didn't want to put oil in there. Without the water, the chicken could come out dry. So a little bit of the water with the adobo seasoning in there for about an hour with some fresh rice and vegetable. Really, really delicious. And I have a little bit more of it left over in the kitchen, and we're going to have that. Sweet dreams to you, Kathleen, as well. Good stuff. And yes, we had Paul Byram on our show. Did you see the episode? Jimmy's right there. See Jimmy next to Silver? There's Jimmy. We're going to bring all of your favorites back on, and we're going to bring your favorites back on tomorrow for the levity. Chicken and rice. Oh man, love it. Really, really good. Night, gang. You're the best. This is your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we cheer and toast all of you. Once again, thanks to Kami Cotler for joining us live from her home in Los Angeles, California. Stick with us. We got a lot of great things coming your way here on the Gym Masters Show Live. A pleasure to do these shows for you, for your entertainment and enrichment. We love you back. You see Jimmy there? There's Jimmy and Silver and Gilligan. And do you see the genie bottle right there next to the jazz man with the saxophone? Let's see. There's the tulips from the Netherlands that Willie always likes. There's the genie bottle. There is the jazz statue, the man playing the saxophone. And these are television awards and the guitar and all the other cool things. You're hungry now. Amy's hungry. Uh-oh. I think I'm going to make everybody hungry, and they're going to be grabbing snacks. I know. How do we always end up on food? We always end up on food on this show, don't we? We've got some cool surprises in the food department for you that are going to be coming up as well. So Gang, you're the best. We're going to wrap up. We got a busy day tomorrow. Got to get ready for it. 2 shows, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Brian Dunphy, live from Ireland, singer, songwriter, Irish musician from the High Kings group, really popular. And then tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Lovity Weekend, Valentine's, Lovity Host Chat episode. So we love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a good night. One more comment coming in. Yeah, that's right. It's breakfast time for you as well, Juanita, right? Breakfast time for you. We're munching on our late night snacks here. And was it 20 to 10? Wow, 2 hours and 36 minutes. Whew. Boy, you guys can talk. All right, gang. Love you all. We will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, you can see everything in the archives at Gym Masters TV if you missed any of the episodes. Love you all. You guys be well. Stay safe. Take care. We're sending you through the airwaves nothing but lovity. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.